Page 1. Esoteric Course of Kabbalah Samael Aun Weor Buddha Maitreya, Kalki Avatar of the New Era Aquarian 2nd edition, -1977 Prologue. Kabbalah is the science of numbers. Numbers are living entities. We can combine them through superior knowledge to benefit from its effects. Our metric decimal system contains 10 numbers ranging from 0 to 9. Each has its power and corresponds to a spherith. The student can see in the tarot of the Gnostics, where the 22 arcana are represented with the meaning of each one of them. There can clearly see the Gnostic student brothers in the first 10 letters, the spherith which corresponds to each number in the name of each sacred letter. The 10 numbers of the metric system are formed from 2 geometric figures, as follows. The circle, which represents the infinite, and cross representing the 4 states of matter, fire, air, water and earth. When we put the cross inside the circle are formed the 10 numbers of the metric system. The student can make that circle by painting and putting 2 diameters in the form of a cross. Then you will notice that all the numbers are in the same place and that we see them in the sphere of the clock. That is, the one is composed of one part of the infinite and another of the matter. That is to say, the diameter that descends perpendicularly and a small part of the circle in the top. The 2 is the same, but instead of going perpendicular it deflects in the center to the right, to the east, to the side that comes out the sun. Then contains a small part of the circle and 2 parts of the cross. Then comes the 3 that is formed by the semicircle and an entrance in the half of that semicircle in matter, and remains in the sphere of the clock, the same as the figure that in the student is ahead of him. The 4 is formed by 2 parts of the matter that a quarter of the circle joins, and the way engineers paint the number 4. If we also close the whole cross in the part opposite to another semicircle is an 8, or double the 4 in both, or in the part of the sphere of the clock. The 8 is constructed in the same form, with 2 parts of the circle, one of the top and another from below, and 2 parts of the subject, so the student can see all the numbers and always you can remove them using the simile of the clock. You will have a doubt about the 4, but it does come out in the said figure. The reverse will be noted when it is extended to form the 8. The study of this book requires acquiring the tarot, which is obtained in Colombia, where the general director of the movement, whom every Gnostic knows. Tarot cards help guide the student in his private life and work beautifully in the hands of the chaste, or that of the Gnostics who practice the arcanon. As those who are outside of chastity cannot manipulate our tarot and therefore waste their time functioning only with the intellect or any other function thereof. In the tarot you will find the corresponding information on how it works. This is written information to the final when the letters are cut and examples are given to guide the beginner to theorist. Knowing how to handle the tarot and with the knowledge contained in this treatise, the student gets rid of fall into many mistakes, and you can wisely direct your person as the people who depend on one. Page 2. The example. A person is offered a business and does not know if it will work, can go to his altar, and if not is at your fingertips, where you will be informed, avoiding the curiosity of outsiders. There he asks his intimate oriented, shuffle the cards and draw one. If in that letter is announced danger, do not get in, but if the letter from the said, for example, good business, good luck, is telling you that there's no fear. If the card drawn confuses you, do not do it either. The Gnostics can also inform themselves by knowing the system of the 752 grand, which together give 365 days of the year, missing one day because the sum only gives 364. In each one of those 52 avos, counted from the day we turn our years, give us the key for the life of commerce, like this. The first 52 avos serves us to initiate everything that we wish. A business, a trip, marriage, in short, everything that has to begin. The second is also good, but less than the first, and serves everything that has relation with paperwork. The 5th is good. The 6th is extra good, and the 7th is bad for doing any deal. The student will place the days of the months by dividing them into 52 days until the 7th. In this simple way you will manage the car of your life, and you can earn it without so much complication as he who has to study hundreds of textbooks and learn from millions of definitions to answer questions from those who invented them. Giulio Medina V. General Delegate from Editor. Esoteric Course of Kabbalah is dedicated to teach us the wonderful science of the numbers, by means of which we can get rid of psychically torturing situations caused by circumstances of daily living that turn our minds into a maze of doubts, fears, passions, errors, depressions, precipitations, etc. It is touched to the Gnostic Brotherhood Guerrera the honor to publish this transcendental work of the Avatar of Aquarius, Samael Aun Weor, with which he raised to 41 the number of his works of occultism. Libraries and bookstores for these times, we find them full of books and more books, magazines, pamphlets, parnassos, and luxurious encyclopedias, whose variety of themes attracts attention, but, rarely, we will find their work that is really dedicated to teaching us how to get rid of the pain, making our lives friendlier. Esoteric Course of Kabbalah is the precise interpretation of the Egyptian tarot. This wonderful work is not the result of intellectual knowledge but is the result of rigorous esoteric investigations made by the Master of Major Mysteries and where, through the enlightenment of the Holy Spirit. To you, restless as you are, you do not conform to the pseudo-spirituality of both leader who he says to teach the truth, and since you have endeavored to break through, continue, you are not alone, leave the put fear in one side, practice the teachings you find in this book or in any of the works by the same author, Master Samael Aun Weor, and you will find for yourself the answer to your research, and may the same restlessness serve as a spur to your progress and realization. Who you are. Where you come from. Where are you going? You have the answers, search within yourself. The charlatans talk about what they do not know, the intellectuals think according to their mentality, and the blind, guides of the blind, with their advice to page 3, they will lead to the abyss where they go. Samael Aun Weor, avatar of the era of Aquarius, puts this method of dissolution of your problems created by your attachment to matter and your desires. Impress yourself with your teachings, get yourself into this book and you will be overwhelmed by the things a Buddha Maitreya has to deliver you. Do not forget. The fire that purifies is revived. The elements to fan that fire, you know them, do you dominate them? The progress made by this labor, it will increase, you know it. Your obedience is basic, sustain it, persevere and you will win the battle. Preface of the author. There are two kinds of Kabbalists, Kabbalistic intellectuals and intuitive Kabbalists. The Kabbalists intellectuals, they are black magicians, intuitive Kabbalists, white magicians. The sidereal gods often respond by showing us a tarot card. So we intuitively understand the response we have been given. Intuitive Kabbalists, with only looking at a tarot card, understand what fate holds them. This is a book of practical Christification. This is a book of transcendental esotericism and absolutely handy. In this book we do not theorize. This is 100% practical work. Many students yearn to be Christified but do not know where to start. They do not know the key, the secret. In this book we give the students the key, the secret, the key. Here you have thirsty lovers of truth. Now, practice. You are not alone. We love deeply, and when you are treading the path of the edge of the knife, you will be assisted by we the brothers of the temple. Here in this book we have delivered the key to the resurrection. We have torn the veil of the sanctuary. Here are all the secrets, here are all the keys to the Christification. Here is written the doctrine that the Adorable taught secretly to his humble disciples. The Adorable will remain in us until the end of time. This is his doctrine. Here you have it. Study it and practice it. In virtual peace. Samael Aun Weor. Introduction. Sons of men. Do you want to enter into the ineffable bliss of nirvana? Do you want to become gods? Do you want to become Christs? Do you want to get rid of the wheel of births and deaths? Here we will give you the key to sexual magic. What more do you want? Let's look at the relationship between the spheroids and the first letters of the tarot. The 7 planets of the solar system are the 7 spheroids, and the trin-spiritual sun is the crown spherotic. These spheroids live and throb within our consciousness, and we must learn to manipulate and combine them in the wonderful laboratory of our inner universe. 3 page 4. These 10 spheroids are Keter, balanced power. The magician of the first tarot arcanym, whose hieroglyph primitive is represented by a man. Chekma, wisdom. The papacy of the tarot. The hidden wisdom, the priestess. The second letter of the tarot. The moon, primitive hieroglyphic, is the mouth of man. Bina, intelligence. Planet Venus. Third card of the tarot, the Empress. The symbol primitive is a handing-catching attitude. These 3 spheroids are the spherotic crown. Then the 7 lower spheroids go in the following order: Cascade, Jupiter. The divine self, Edmund. Primitive hieroglyph, a breast. The 4th card of the tarot, the Mercy. The Emperor's blade. Gebre, the rigor. The 5th letter of the man. The Pope, or the Hierophant of the tarot, Mars, the warrior of Aries. Tefirth, Venus of Taurus, beauty, love of the Holy Spirit, the Buddhic body man. The 6th card of the tarot, the loving one. HOD, Mercury Gemini. The tarot card. The 7th card in eternity at all. Natsa, Justice Arcana. The 8th letter of the tarot, Saturn, the victory. Jezid, the son of Leo. The 9th card of the tarot, the Hermit. The Absolute. Malkuth, the entire universe, Mary or Virgo, nature. These 10 spheroids live within our being and our solar system. The tarot is intimately related to esoteric astrology and initiation. Arcanum X10 is the first hour of Apollonius, transcendental study of occultism. Arcanum XI11, this is the second hour of Apollonius. The Force. The Abyss of Fire. The astral virtues form a circle through dragons and fire, study of forces hidden. Arcanum XII, 12, third hour of Apollonius. The snakes, the dogs, and the fire. Alchemy sexual. Working with the Kundalini, sexual magic. Arcanum Kisii, 13, death. Fourth hour of Apollonius. The neophyte will roam at night among the sepulchres, experience the horror of visions, surrender to magic and Goetia. This means that the disciple will be attacked by millions of black magicians in the astral plane. Those dark magicians try to keep the disciple away from the bright path. Arcanum XIV, 14, the two poles divine magnetism and human magnetism. The waters above the sky. During this time the disciple learns to be pure and chaste because he understands the value of its seminal fluid. Arcanum XV, 15, hurricane electric, Tiefenbafomit. Baphomet. Sixth hour of Apollonius. Here it is necessary to remain still, immobile, because of fear. This means the terrible test of the guardian of the threshold, before which it takes a lot of courage to defeat him. Arcanum XVI, 16, the fulminated tower. The seventh hour of Apollonius. Fire comforts the beings, and if a priest, a man sufficiently purified, steals it and then projects it, and if mix it to the holy oil and then consecrate it, you will be able to cure all the diseases just by applying it to the affected party. The initiate sees his threatened material fortune here and his business fails. Arcanum XVII, 17, the Star of Hope. Eighth hour of Apollonius. 4 page 5. Arcanum XVII, 18, the Star of the Magi. Ninth hour of Apollonius. The astral virtues of the elements, of the seed of all kinds. Study on the lesser mysteries, the 9 arcades for which the student has to climb. Arcanum XIX, 19, the Shining Light. The 10th hour of Apollonius. The gates of heaven are open and man comes out of his lethargy. This is the number 10 of the second great initiation of major mysteries that allows the initiate to travel in the etheric body. This is the wisdom of John Baptist. Arcanum XX, 20, waking the dead. 11th hour of Apollonius. The angels, the cherubim, and the seraphim fly with rumors of wings. There is rejoicing in the sky, the earth awakens, and the sun rising from Adam. This process belongs to the great initiations of major mysteries, where only the terror of the Lord reigns. Arcanum XXI, 21, 12th hour of Apollonius. The towers of the fire are restless. This is the triumphal entry into the boundless bliss of nirvana, where the master dresses with the resplendent costume of Dhammasarya, or, renouncing the bliss of nirvana for the sukha of the humanity, and becomes bodhisattva of compassion. In a savior of poor humanity suffering, in a wedge over the guardian wall erupted with the blood of the martyrs. Samyak Sambuddha, master of perfection, renounced nirvana for the sukha of humanity. The perfect Buddha is clothed in the glory of Dharmasarya, can no longer help man or woman. Humanity, because nirvana is oblivion of the world and men forever. The Bodhisattvas, Quan-Yin, Tashisni, Buddha, and Christ radiate their light on suffering humanity. Samael Aun Weor, adorable and immortal to be. Salutations and worships. Welcome disciples, we begin now, this secret course of Kabbalah. We will study the 22 major arcana of the tarot. This course will therefore consist of 22 lessons. We hope you have patience and that you are tenacious study and practice, and you will come to the great realization. We will study the first arcanum of the tarot. We will enter the sanctum regnum of the high magic. Chapter Arcana. Why it is represented by Omega. On the head of the magician appears the Holy Eight, sacred symbol of infinity. This sign closes, defines and links the magnetic currents of the higher mind, consciousness in the dream, with those of the inferior mind, waking consciousness. Such a sign separates all elements governed by atomic energy, if drawn with the middle fingers, index, and thumb on the surface of the cardiac plexus. Practice according to the above description. This exercise is suggested. Withhold all your mind from your mind of thoughts. Calm the mind, calm the thought. Imagine now the Holy Eight in the graphic form represented here. 5 page 6. That is, and let this figure dive into your consciousness and fall asleep. Then put your mind blank without thinking of anything. Thus after a certain time, you will awaken consciousness in the astral body. Well, if you consider the formation of this sign, it highlights the continuity of the same arm that closes a double circuit in the first feature, while in the second, it only closes one, bypassing in the other, to project out after cutting the sign of the point of its central cross. One closes and the other opens. It is, therefore, this key that is required to open all the doors, to cut all the currents formed by the energy from which we have imagined and deposit it at the bottom of the consciousness, even the original of all, which circulates, in the same form, to the center of the ninth sphere. However, to save with these resources the risks inherent in all astral experience and get a quick exit, at the same time perfect, is, among others, a reason more than sufficient for the Holy Order of the Tibet can claim in its motto, "Nothing resists our power." The disciple, moments before bed to do this practice, he must invoke with all his heart and with all his soul the great regent of the Holy Order of Tibet. The name of the great Guruji is Bhagavad. This order, to which we have the high honor of representing here in Mexico, it is the most powerful of all the tradition Oriental. It is made up of 201 members. The main plaque consists of 72 Brahmins. Papias says in his elemental treatise on occult science that the true initiates of the East are attached to the secret shrines of Brahmanism, for they are the only ones to give us the royal key of Arcanum AZF, thanks to knowledge of the Atlantean language, Wada, root fundamental of Sanskrit, Hebrew and Chinese. The Sacred Order of Tibet is the genuine depository of the real treasure of Aryavardha. East treasure is the great Arcanum. Bhagavad will help you to get out consciously in the astral body. Call upon him when you are meditating with the sacred sign of the infinite. One night you will be called from the Himalayan temple. There you will be subjected to 7 tests. There will be taught science secret. Now, let us return to the starting point, after this digression. The Holy Eight symbolizes the codkeys of Mercury and represents the 2 ganglionary cords that are esoterically coiled in the spinal cord and that are Ida and Pingala, the 2 witnesses, the 2 olives, the 2 candelabra which are before the throne of God on earth. From the cordon on the right, the solar atoms rise, the one on the left ascends the lunar atoms. These solar and lunar atoms arise from our seminal system, the flagrant fire 6 page 7, and the water of the Ocaran intersect in the 9th sphere forming the sign of the infinite. F more A equal C, fire plus water, equal to consciousness. Whoever meditates on the sign of infinity will use fire and water to awaken consciousness. Now we explain why the 2 witnesses of the apocalypse have the power to prophesy. And I will give to my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth. These are the 2 olives and the 2 candlesticks standing before God of the earth, as we said. Now, the quantity 1,260 is added Kabbalistically like this. 1 plus 2 plus 6 plus 0 equals 9. Symbol of the 9th sphere. The 9th sphere is sex. And the 2 witnesses have their roots in sex. These 2 witnesses, Ida and Pingala, are the fine ganglion channels through which the solar atoms ascend in moles of our seminal system, to the chalice. That chalice is the brain. Fill your chalice, brother, with the sacred wine of light. Now it is explained why the sign of the infinite appears on the head of the magician, and before him are the swords, cups and pentacles, and holds in his hand the magic wand, which symbolizes the spinal cord. When the solar and lunar atoms make contact in the capsular bone, the kundalini, the igneous serpent of our magical powers, then we are devoured by the serpent and we will become excellently divine magi. Chapter I Higher Kano II. Let us now study the magical balance in the Arcanon 2 of the Tarot. The physical body is organized with the elements. The intimate emanated of the inner star that has always smiled upon us, and it's polarized positively. And the physical body is the negative shadow of the innermost. Spirit and matter live in eternal struggle. When the spirit overcomes matter, it's already a master. Maya, illusion, could not exist without duality. Force and matter are 2 modalities of the same thing, energy. Matter is determined energy and determinant of new undulations. Evolution is a process of energy complication whose result is the macrocosmos and the microcosmos. The universe is Maya, illusion. The universe exists by karma and is a mass of floating shadows. When the spirit, the intimo, is released from Maya, the Ein Sof returns of the Kabbalah. In the last synthesis, each being is only a superatom divine of absolute abstract space. That atom is Ein Sof. The ineffable gods of Ein Sof are first beyond all understanding. The human mind is for the gods of Ein Sof what the activities of the kingdom mineral for us. In the Ein Sof only the unity of life reigns. That is supreme happiness. He universe is duality, Maya pain. We need to free ourselves from the binary and return to the unity of the lifetime. It is urgent to move beyond the painful manifestations of Maya. There is a science with which we can tear the veil of Maya and return to the Ein Sof. That is the alchemia. Dr. Arnold Krumheller said, a chemist accidentally forgot a ring with a 7-page 8, emitted near a tube containing radio, and after a few weeks saw that the emerald had changed at all, was another stone unknown to him. He left X-Sprout so some other stones like rubies, sapphires, etc. In contact with the radio, Grant was surprised to see that after some time they had changed color at all. The blues have turned red and the green reds, continues Dr. Krumheller. Gentlemen, This I only mention, because I consider it to be scientifically established. Do you know what it means? What Shakespeare had reason to say, that there are many things between heaven and earth that our scholastic conscience does not suspect, and that the alchemia is reborn, proving the transmutation of the metals. The men and women must balance their strength. They must be alchemists, to return to Ainsof. Circe offers the tempting cup and Ulysses rejects it with the sword. In the sacred sign of the infinite, the brain, heart and sex of planetary genius are represented. The fight is terrible, brain against sex against brain, and what is even more terrible is that of heart against heart. You know that. On the altars of the temples of the Great White Lodge, the masters usually put 3 laurea, 3 glasses of alchemia. Each of the 3 sacred vessels of the temple contains a bomb beautiful. The red bomb is the fire, the blue is the water, and the white is the universal spirit of the lifetime. Ida and Pingala are the channels by which the atoms of fire and water, the spirit wields the cane of 7 knots, and that reed is the spinal cord. When the woman and the man they know to avoid the spasm and the ejaculation of Enos Minis awakens then the igneous serpent of our magical powers. If you want to return to the Father who is in secret, you must return first to the bosom of your Divine Mother Kundalini. You need to get up for your channel Medel, the serpent of life. That is alchemia. Alchemia. You have forgotten your Divine Mother Kundalini. You need to worship the Divine and Blessed Mother Goddess of the world. You have been ungrateful to your Cosmic Mother. She is the virgin of all religious cults. She is Isis, Mary, Kibbles, Adonia, Insoberta, etc. The stone of grace is surrounded by 9 mountains. Delicious that stone is sex. If you want to return to the bosom of your Divine Mother, you need to work with the philosophical stone, the sex. The Mayans say that in the first heaven, God, the Word, had his stone held, had his snake held its substance. Only with Herkano Azf can the Word be made flesh, for to hold back his stone, his snake and his substance. Then we return to Ainsof, we return to the unity of life. You are children of the widow, your Divine Mother is now widow. When she rises up the spinal canal, she marries the beloved eternal. Your Divine Mother is the Arcan in my eye, the papacy of the tarot. She is crowned with the tiara. The head of the Cosmic Mother is surrounded by a veil. You must be brave and lift the veil of Isis. Our currency Gnostic is Thelma, will. The Mother carries our Son, the Word, in her arms. And it is sitting between the 2 columns that symbolize man and woman. Worship the Virgin of the Sea, my brothers. In the Arcan in my eye of the tarot appears the Divine Mother doing with her hand the sign of the esoteric priesthood. Study in the sacred book of your Divine Mother. Ask and it will be given to you. Strike and it shall be opened unto you. Your Divine Mother can confer the longed for hidden powers. Pray to your Divine Mother. Practice your esoteric exercises. You may ask your beloved Mother to clairvoyance, telepathy, clairaudience, faculties of astral unfoldment, etc. You can rest assured that your Divine Mother will know how to listen to your prayers. You must meditate deeply every day in your Divine Mother, praying and pleading. You need to be devoured by the serpent. 1 is man, 2 woman. Man is a column of the temple, the woman is the other. The 2 columns should be neither too close nor too far away, must have a space so that the light passes in the middle of them. Referring to figure page 9, the light of personality must be transmuted into the pure gold of the spirit, that is alchemia. There are that transform the moon into the sun. The moon is the soul, the sun is the inner Christ. We need Christify ourselves. No human being can return to the Father without having been devoured by the serpent. No one can be devoured by her without having worked in the burning forge of Vulcan, the sex. Christification. The key is the Arcanim Azf. The mantra of the great Arcanim is Iwao, I, Ignis, fire, A, aqua, water, O, Arigo, principle, spirit. To the fiery forge of Vulcan they descend, Mars to implant their sword and to conquer the heart of Venus, Hermes to clean the stables of Aegeus with the sacred fire, and Perseus to cut the head of the jellyfish. Remember, beloved disciples, that our Divine Mother is Newton, that our word is 56. This number is decomposed Kabbalistically like this: 5 plus 6 equal 11, 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. 1 is the Father, 2, she, Newt, the Divine Mother Kundalini. Practice. 1. Accosta us in your bed, face up, with the whole body relaxed. 2. Fall asleep, meditating on the sacred serpent that is in the Quetzal Coatl. 3. Pray with all your heart, meditating on the following prayer of the holy ritual. Invocation: Be you, O Hadid, my secret, the Gnostic mystery of my being, the central point of my connection, my heart itself, and flourishes on my fecund lips, made verb. Up there, in the infinite heavens, in the deep height of the unknown, the incessant glow of light is the naked beauty of Newt. She leans, curves in delightful ecstasy, to receive the kiss secret of Hadid. The wind sphere and the blue sky are mine. The Aok Kwafen A Cancer, the Aok Kwafen A Cancer, the Aok Kwafen A Cancer. These mantrams have the power to transmute our sexual energy into light and fire within the alchemist laboratory of the human organism. Prayer with X mantrams can be used in sexual magic. Such a prayer with X mantrams is an omnipotent key to meditate on our Divine Mother. Master Horikota said in his novel Rosicrucian, when man joins in the secret act to the woman, it is a god, because at the moment it becomes a creator. The seers they say that at the precise moment of love, of spasm, you see the two beings wrapped in a burst of bright light. They are enveloped in the most subtle and potent forces in nature. If they know how to seize the moment, not ejaculating the ensminis, if they know how to retain their vibration, she can operate as the magician to purify herself and get everything. If you do not know how to respect that light, he will abandon them, in order to remain in the universal currents, but leaving the doors open, where the evil is introduced. Love becomes hate, illusion leaves room for disappointment. With the mantra prayer we teach in this lesson, we retain that bright cosmic light that envelops the human couple in the supreme moment of love, on the condition of avoiding at all costs ejaculation of ensminis. The mantrams of this invocation have the power to transmute the creative energies, in light and fire. Singles and singles can transmute and sublimate their sexual energies with this prayer and these mantrams, to the heart. It is urgent to sublimate sexual energies until the heart. Note that in the heart temple, the creative energies mingle with the forces of the Christ and rise to the higher worlds. The inner Christ lives in the heart temple. The cross of initiation is received in the heart temple. And this mantrika sentence is also a formula of referring to figure page 10, priestly power that the magician uses in his practices of internal meditation, to reach the feet of his Divine Mother. If the meditation is perfect, your adorable mother will listen to your call and will come to you, then you can talk with her unspeakable things of paradise. She is Devi Kundalini. She is the papacy of the tarot. The Divine Mother always listens to her devotees. In the sacred land of the Vedas was the enlightened Ramakrishna, one of the greatest devotees. Do you want the heights of Nirvikalpa? Do you need to develop Anubhaya? Perception of your inner God in meditation. Do you want the science of jinness? Remember that you have one adorable mother. Ask and it shall be given you, strike and it shall be opened unto you. Chapter II Arcane I remember, this fairy Exere describes in a wonderful way all the splendors of the world and the extraordinary play of the sphereth, in God and in man, through the 32 paths of wisdom. In the mystery of the sexes hides all the science of the spheroths. The soul has 3 aspects. First, Nefsh, the animal soul. Second, Mawech, the thinking soul. Third, Munthema, soul spiritual. The substratum of these 3 aspects of the soul are the sphereth. These are atomic. The Zohar insists the 3 elements principles which make up the world. Such elements are fire, skim, water, men, air, olive. These are the elements, perfect synthesis of the 4 manifested elements. The powerful mantra IWAO summarizes the magical power of the triangle elements, principles. I, Ignis, fire. A, Aqua, O, Arigo, principal spirit. I, A, O. It is the supreme mantra of Arcangel. Anyone who wants to climb the medullary canal to the soul of the world should working with sulfur, fire, with mercury, water, and salt, philosophical earth. Only then born in spirit and in truth. In Arcanum Asia for the 12 secret keys Benedictine referred, Basil Valentine. In the manuscript of Ezet, Valentine, all the secret is locked great work. And the Ezet is the sexual creative principle of nature. When the rose of the spirit flowers in the cross of our body, the great work has been realized. Principles. The 3 elements are the 3 letters of the alphabet Mother's Hebrew. When practiced with the Arcanum AZF, working with the 3 elements principles. Within the great laboratory of nature, when the Arcano practiced working with mercury, sulfur and salt. And let personality is transmuted into the gold of the spirit. And so we make within ourselves golden child alchemia. The 3 elements principles are made manifest in the 4 elements of nature. They're the heat of the fire and air, humidity air and water and fire dryness and earth. These are the 3 elements principles. And this is the IAO and Satjar, sulfur, mercury and contained in the 4 elements of nature salt. And these 3 elements principles elementals are havens of nature. The Kabbalist alchemist must learn to use sulfur, mercury and salt. Using sulfur flower in the shoes, inside, the larvae of the astral body disintegrates, in cubos, subcubes, bacillion, 10 page 11, dragons, ghosts, etc. Invisible vapors originating from sulfur rise disintegrating these larvae. Sulfur and coals burning coal, forms disintegrate evil thought and larvae enclosed within any room. Quicksilver, mercury, serves to prepare lustral water. The great astronomer Nostradamus spent nights whole to a container filled with water copper. This great seer looked at the water and saw in them future events that left written in his famous prophecies. Now, if that water is added quicksilver, and if at the bottom of the container a mirror is placed, you have a wonderful kaleidoscopio. Please use all copper vessel, except called pan or saucepan. The copper vessel is the symbol of black magic. Copper is closely related to the pituitary gland, and has the power to awaken the clairvoyance. Salt also has many uses in the white magic. Salt should be combined with alcohol. If a container being placed alcohol and salt and then catches fire, you get samario wonderful. This should only be used to invoke the gods of medicine when needed cure any ill. Then they will come to the call. Sulfur, fire, burns completely, without leaving a residue, and sulfur is the skin the zover. And water is man of the zover, the ents minis, fire and water by successive transmutations, are Kabbalistic olive reduced to the alchemists called alkahest. Thus the IAO is performed, and so 12 powers of Alma open. The Alma is Christified, Kundalini blooms in our fertile lips made word. The ternary is the word, plenitude, fecundity, nature, generation of the three worlds. 3 arcanim of Kabbalah is that woman-dressed sun, with the moon under her feet, and crowned with 12 stars. The symbol of the Queen of Heaven is the Empress of the Tarot. A mysterious woman crowned, sitting with the scepter of command and at whose end appears the earth globe. This is the Aranya Venus of the Greeks, the Alma Christified. Man is the one arcanim Tarot. Women is the arcanim 2 of the same. And Alma Christified, it is the result of sexual union of both. The secret is the arcanim AZF. Women's mother the Word. Christ is always the son of immaculate conceptions. It is impossible to be born without a mother. His wife when an initiate is to incarnate the Word, he appears in the higher worlds as she is pregnant and suffering labor pains. Jesus, on the cross, he told his mother, "Woman, behold your son." Turning to John, then he said to the disciple, "Behold your mother," and from that hour, the disciple took her. The word John breaks down as follows: Eon, the Word, the dragon of wisdom. Actually she is the mother of the Word. And the woman officiates at the altar of the blessed Goddess Mother of the world. Now, brethren, pray much to your divine mother Kundalini, the venerable priestess is your wife. Pray and meditate like this. Invocation, O Isis, mother of the cosmos, root of love, trunk, bud, leaf, flower and seed, all that exists. To thee, naturalizing force, conjure you, call the queen of space and night, and kissing your loving eyes, drinking the dew of your lips, breathing the sweet fragrance of your body, we exclaim, O Nut, you, eternalness of heaven, which are the sole primary, which are what was and what will be, whom no mortal has lifted the veil, when you're beneath the irradiating stars of the nocturnal and profound sky of the desert, purity of heart and in the flame of the serpent we call. 11 page 12. Pray and meditate intensely. The Divine Mother teaches our children. This prayer must be done combining meditation with sleep. Then dreams and vision of enlightenment arises. Divine Mother comes to the devotee to instruct him in the great mysteries. Chapter IV Arcano Aum. The arcanim 4 of the Tarot is the holy and mysterious Tetragrammaton. The holy name of the Lord has 4 letters, Iod, P, Vau, D. Yod is man, I women, Val is the phallus, he is the uterus. In otherwise we say Iod is the man, he is the woman, Vau, fire, I, water. The deep study of the 4 letters of the eternal use inevitably led to the 9th sphere, sex. We must lift our serpent through the medullary canal to take her heart shrine. The cross of initiation is received in the heart temple. Center magnetic father is between the eyebrows. The sanctuary mother is in the heart temple. 4 bits crossed symbolize fire, air, water and earth. The spirit, matter, the movement, the rest. Remember, beloved disciple, the 4 elements of alchemy are salt, mercury, sulfur, acid. Salt is matter, El Mercurios Minis is the ants. The acid is the mysterious ray of Kundalini. This is also the acid. Sulfur should fertilize the mercury of the secret philosophy for salt to regenerate. Just so we could write the book acid. If you want initiation, write it on a stick. At Yenilingam the key to our liberation is. La Cruz has 4 points. The cross of initiation is phallic. The insertion of the vertical phallus in the formal form etis cruz is the cross of initiation we must take on our shoulders. The 4 sacred animals of alchemy are the lion that hides the enigma of fire, He-Man representing the mercury of the secret philosophy, the eagle that indicates the air, the bull symbolizing earth. Sphinxes of Egypt and Ezekiel have a sacred symbolism for animals of alchemy. The water in the bed of the seas, rivers and oceans, heated by the fire of the sun, transforms into clouds that ascend to heaven and after some digestion time become lightning and thunder. This same process is repeated in the sexual laboratory of the alchemist. Our motto is Thelma, that is will. The entrance to the old archaic temples was so common, hidden in some mysterious spot in the dense jungle hole. We left Edom through the door of sex. Only through that door can we return to Eden. Edom is the same sex. Sex is the narrow and difficult door that leads to the light. In the solitude of those mysterious sanctuaries, the neophytes were subjected to 4 tests initiatory. Tests of fire, air, water and earth always defined the various purifications of the neophytes. Usually these sanctuaries of mysteries were situated at the foot of some volcano. The disciples fell senseless to the ground. In those moments the Hierophant drew to students between the physical body and astral, taking them to the depths of the sanctuary. Then he teaches them the great mysteries of life and death. Fumes volcanic land produce that state of apparent death. In Gnostic Sanctuaries 12, page 13, some disciples fall into that state of apparent death. The ceremony of carrying the cross as it was customary in the Gnostic Somicials humbly observes to confirm any initiation internal esoteric. Each of the 7 bodies of man must be crucified and stigmatized. Every student Kabbalah must be familiar with the elements of fire, air, water and earth. The man is not yet king of nature, but he is called to be king and priest after the order of Melchizedek. It is necessary that the student is familiar with all the elemental creatures of the 4 elements. In the salamanders live fire. In the water live undines and nereids. In the air sylphs live. On earth live the gnomes. The Gospel of Mark is symbolized by a lion, fire. The Gospel of Matthew is represented by a young, water. The Gospel of John is represented by an eagle, air. The Gospel of Luke represented by a bull, earth. The 4 Gospels symbolize the 4 elements, nature and the realization of the great work, the Magnus Opus. All Hierophant of nature becomes king of the elementals. If you want to be admitted elementals paradises in nature, do not kill, do not eat meat of any kind. Do not drink wine containing alcohol, vegetarian thirst. Never destroy yourselves a plant or a flower. Respect all life. You only need 2 things in life, wisdom and love. So you will have happiness, peace and abundance. Be perfect as your Father is perfect. The initiate must work with the elementals in the central cordoran. That cordoran is the spinal cord. The materia prima of the great work of the Father is the ens minis. You know it. The sacred vessel are your creative organs, the stove is the capomulatura. The fireplace is the medullary canal. The distiller is the brain. When we are working in the laboratory 3rd logos, we must transmit the lead of personality into the gold of the spirit. Magna work cannot be done without the cooperation of the elementals. Gnomes or pygmies are the great alchemists who transmit lead into gold. They reduce metals to his semen and then transmit into the pure gold of the spirit. That work would be impossible if Endin is not obey, or if the salamanders of fire did not fact the voluptuous was Endinas. Undines tempting without the fire can only lead to shipwreck. Ulysses, the cunning warrior destroyer of citadels, had himself tied to a pole of the boat to avoid the danger of falling into the sea, seduced by the beauty of sexual Endinas. The ancient Gnostic said, all you shall be gods if you leave Egypt and come across the Red Sea, the ocean of temptations. Vapors of the raw material of the great work would amount not through the chimney without the help of the restless sylphs. The gnomes need to distill gold in the brain, and that is only possible with the aid of air sylphs. The gnomes transmit lead into gold. The Magnus Opus would impossible without the elementals. We need to familiarize ourselves with the elementals' nature. Practice fire, and kindle a fire, and then vocalize the mantra Wingri. This mantra is vocalized 2 separate syllables, in, or I, but prolonging the sound of each letter. Concentrate now on fear that you have kindled. Vela coals, meditate deeply on fire. Fall asleep meditating on fire. Invoke the friend who writes this chair and you will be helped in this practice. Vocalize the S as a very fine whistle. As the hum of Cascabel. 13 page 14. Practice with sylphs air. Sitting in a comfortable chair or lying on your back with your body relaxed, you will meditate deeply in the following prayer. Prayer spiritus Dei feribator super equas, ad inspiravidum facium hominis spiraculum vita. Sit Michael Dux Mass, et Sadvabils Ervis Mass, ad in lus perlucum. Virgum fiat halitus Mass, reset in probis yes, et refrenevo equus solus, vumtate cortis mai, et cogitation inut eclimaet mentis dextri. It detrexercis the creature res, et perpentagrammaton in nominate tetragrammaton, in quid sunt et fights velmbus signature line. Amen. Selify at. Blow towards the 4 cardinal points of the earth. Utter the letter H many times as a very deep sigh. Fall asleep meditating on the Genir Michael and Saptabil. So ye shall put in contact with the Sylphs. Practice with ending eyes water. With a glass with water, fall asleep meditating on the next exorcism. Exorcism fiat aquam firmamentum in medio et equas abecis per coaque sicut supras infras, et coaque sicut infras supras, per trange denius re miracula. Salitus pater estate, mater adventus hanc moon gestavat in suo udero, ascendit to terra decelmet ors est celovium terram descendit. Exorcis the creature equa, ut misis speculum de vivian parapsigus, et fenvita, ad ablitio peccatorum, amen. Then pop into sleep, vocalizing the letter M, as follows, M. Lips sealed. This is the sound like the bellowing of the bull, but long sustained without the death of the voice, umble. The letter M is the mantra of the water. So ye shall put in contact with the creatures of the water, and call the genie of the water. Dat genius nixat called. Practice with the gnomes. Meditate deeply into the heart temple of the center of the earth. Meditate on the genius earth whose name is Kamdon. I beg him to contact the gnomes. They inhabit the bowels of the earth. Call the genie of the gnomes. That genius is called God. Fall asleep concentrated in that genius. Vocalize the mantra IAO. The very deep meditation combined intelligently with sleep allow you to enter the havens elementals of nature. All alchemists need to work with the elementals of nature. The hieroglyph of Arcanon 4 of the tarot is the emperor. The sovereign appears forming his body a marvelous triangle. And 4 cross legs form a cross. Really that is the image of the Ethaner of the alchemists. The ligament of the cross with the triangle is just possible through the potable gold, sacred fire, of alchemy. With the Arcanon 4 of the tarot being check on his shoulders, the cross of initiation. Chair finish this by saying that the fire elementals are commanded with trident 14 page 15, iron and iron rod. Air elementals are commanded with a penny goal or any bird. A water elementals are ordered with a glass full of water. To the earth with a sword or with a new knife. The special kingdom of the gnomes live in the northern region. The south of the salamanders. The of sylphs the east and of the west endinas. These 4 elemental hierarchies form cross. Therein lies the holy and mysterious tetragrammaton. Chapter V Arcanon V Beloved brothers of my soul, today we will study the Arcano 5 Tarot. This Arcanon is the pentagram of flaming, the blazing star, the sign of divine omnipotence. This is the ineffable symbol of the word make flesh, Lucero terrible of the Megas. When the pentagram elevates its 2 inferior rays, it represents Satan. When the light pentagram effect raises the air one of its rays, it represents the internal Christ of every man who comes into this world. The man with his legs and open arms right and left is the star of 5 points. Brain and sex live in eternal fight. Brain must control sex. When sex overcomes the brain, 5-pointed star, man, falls into the abyss with feet up and head down. This is the inverted star. This is the goat of Mendes. A human figure with the head down and feet up naturally represents a demon. In the flaming star is summarized the whole science of gnosis. Many bodhisattvas, human souls of masters, fell like 5-pointed star, inverted, with lightning top down and the bottom 2 rays upwards. When one of those bodhisattvas rises, when it returns to the path, when recapitulates initiations, then the brothers are surprised and say, this so far is starting the studies and is an initiate. Students really judge a priori many times, because they ignore the great mysteries. We must differentiate between what is a person who he is starting these studies and what is a fallen bodhisattva. In the Apocalypse of St. John, pentagramma falls from heaven to earth and human waters become bitter, become wormwood. The prophet Isaiah said, how you have fallen from heaven, star bright, you were so splendid in your birth. Isa 14:12. But the star Lucifer, fall on man, one day shine like the morning star in handward right. Often reaches the Gnostics or misseals a man or woman looking for the torch divine truth. Apparently the newcomer is now a beginner. But the brothers ignore what is the soul of man. It can be a bodhisattva, the soul of a maestro, who wants to return to his father in secret. The brothers are surprised when something superior happens to the apparent beginner and then say, we who are older in these studies have not been through what he's going, and they wonder to themselves, how is it possible that so far has started as the taker started? We must not judge, they are not judged, because with the rod that you measure you will be measured. 15 page 16. We need to be humble to attain wisdom, and after achieving it, we must be still lowliest. Masters bodhisattvas fall because of sex. Bodhisattvas of the teachers rise by sex. Sex is the philosopher's stone. It would be impossible to decapitate the Medusa, Satan within us, without the precious treasure of the philosopher's stone. Remember that Medusa is the maiden of evil. Psychological eye, whose head is covered with hissing vipers. The union of Sophie Mercury with Sulfur Cepheic results in the Philosopher's Stone. He and Sminis is the Mercury. Sulfur is the sacred fire of love. We now live in the specific age of Samael. We live in the fifth age. Life has begun its return to the great light, and we have to define ourselves in these moments, by eagles or reptiles, for angels or demons. We are faced with the dilemma of being or not being a philosophy. Arcanon 5 of the Tarot is represented by the Hierophant. It's the final fifth sphere, because then the man takes in his hands the reins of their own destiny and becomes angel or demon. The Great Hierophant Tarot appears seated between the two columns of the temple, making the sign of esotericism. The number 5 is great, is sublime. Remember that man is also a star 5 points. That must constantly clean star 5 perfumes. If we can develop a metallic pentagram and consecrate, we can also consecrate all the wits and rites and perfumes we use for our metallic pentagram. Because man is a star of 5 points. All those who feel dirty, with larvae, or in misery must use the 5 fragrances for Sigmars with them, provided tread the path of perfect chastity. In Omisios the habit of cleaning the brothers who are full of larvae should be established, so that they will receive the benefit of their souls and in their bodies. Chapter VIV Arcano. Beloved brothers of my soul, today we will study the Tarot Arcanon 6. Dear, remember the seal of Solomon, 2 triangles intertwined that separates born and lover, really without a doubt linked, the 2 shuttles with which he weaves and unravels the loom of God. The upper triangle symbolizes Keter, the Father who is in secret, Chekma, the Son, and Binah, the Holy Spirit, each man. The lower triangle represents the 3 traders of Hiram-Abith. Those 3 traders are within ourselves. The first is the trader demon of desire. That trader lives within the astral body. The second trader is the demon of the mind. That trader lives within the mental body. The third trader is the demon of evil will. That trader lives within the body of will, causal body. The Bible cites these 3 traders in the Apocalypse of St. John. Let's see, Revelation 16, 13-14/v13. And I saw inside the mouth of the dragon and from the mouth of the beast and the mouth of the false prophet 3 unclean spirits like frogs, v14. Because they are spirits, devils, working miracles, to go to the kings of the earth and all the world, to congregate for the battle of the great day of God Almighty. 16 page 17. The 3 traders constitute the reincarnating ego. The psychological self. Satan, which must be dissolved to incarnate the internal Christ constituted by Keter, Chekma, Binah. The triangle higher is the resplendent dragon of wisdom. The lower triangle is the black dragon. In the center of the 2 triangles the sign of the cross infinity or Tau is. Both signs are phallic, sexual. The Alma is between the 2 triangles, and must be resolved by the dragon white or the black dragon. The problem is absolutely sexual. The key is in the serpent. Galapaz of Ebrexis is a double-tailed snake. There is the tempting serpent of Eden and the copper serpent of Moses entwined in Tau is the sexual lingam. The lingam is the phallus, the yoni, the womb. The snake, it is normally locked in the Caprimulatere, Church of Ephesus. She dozes in that center capsule coiled 3.5 times. The serpent must inevitably leave their church. If you plowed through the spinal canal, we become angels. If down to the atomic infernus of man, then we become demons. Now you understand why the serpent of the codpiece is always double. The sexual force is the Hyle of the Gnostics. When a student breaks the camel Hermes during their practices with the Arcanon AZF, commits the crime of the Nicolaitans. They use that system to bring down a snake. This is how man becomes a demon. Only by working with the Philosopher's Stone in the sexual laboratory practical alchemist day is achieves full and positive development of the serpent. The upper triangle is the cosmos micro and macrocosmos alchemist day center. In the middle triangle cannot miss the sign of the Mercury of the secret, the Ensminis, philosophy. Men and women must work with the sun and the moon, with gold and silver, symbols sexual, to perform the great work. However, this work is very difficult because the male goaded Mendes, the black dragon, try to do sexually fall to alchemist day. It is urgent work with the 4 elements of alchemy for the realization of the great work. The macrocosmos alchemico is illuminated by light. This is the upper triangle seal Solomon. The microcosmos alchemico is in shadow and the region where the souls struggle against the black dragon. It is in the microcosmos, also represented by the lower triangle, where we must do all the work of the alchemist laboratory. The wonderful engraving macrocosmos cosmos alchemist day, illustration Chimica Basilica Philosophica, represents the man and woman working with the sun, phallus symbol, and the moon, symbol of the uterus. In that picture medieval 2 women, nor 2 men do not appear. Esc crime unnatural lets the vampire unclean. The tempers justify the crimes against nature and the law punishes the upper triangle separating them forever. Then roll into the abyss. The mysteries of Lingam Yani are terribly divine and cannot be altered. The Lingam only you can join with the Yani, that is the law of the holy alchemy. The marriage alchemicus means of made perfect marriage. The alchemist must not only kill desire, but even the shadow same the horrible tree of desire. In the mysteries of Ali uses sacred dances they were used between men and women. Love and music centers to enchant and awaken the snake. Then the dancers were clean temple of sickening poison of desire. All kind of sins will be forgiven, except the sin against the Holy Spirit. The fornicator against his body sins, 1 Cor. 6:18. Not only if fornicate with the physical body, but with thought, emotion, speech and feelings animals. In the mysteries of Ali uses the couples danced to magnetize each other. Then the men dancing with their wives came to ecstasy. Bioelectromagnetic exchange 17 page 18. Between men and women it can not be replaced by anything. That is the huge, great power, terribly divine. God shines upon the perfect couple. If you want to self, remember this aphorism alchemist a background. You have to imitate everything to nature love of nature. Nature dominates nature. The task alchemist A is to seek the ancient and hidden knowledge and realize the great work in his laboratory sexual. The great work is hard, it means many years of experiment, terrible sacrifices and tremendous difficulties. There is a transmuter agent, the philosopher's stone, a heavenly influence, cosmic religiosity, various astral influences, esoteric astrology, influence of letters, numbers, correspondences, sympathies, Kabbalah. The sacred principles of alchemy are, unit. Pair of opposites, man, woman, active passive. Trinidad, assets, liabilities, neutral. The last principle is the elements, fire, air, water, earth. Solomon's seal in all the work of the great work, the Magnus Opus, meets. The 6-point star, are male. The 6 entries deep between tip and tip, are female. Total, the Star of Solomon has 12 rays. 6 male, female 6. The Star of Solomon is the perfect symbol of the central Sunday. In the Seal of Solomon are summary zodiacal law measures. In the Seal of Solomon hides all Genesis sexual the zodiac. In the Seal of Solomon is the intimate relationship between the zodiac and the invisible sun central. 12 rays of bright star, crystallized by alchemy of the 12 zodiacal constellations. When the student enters the temple of the Sphinx, study in their great book Nature, where the cosmic laws are written. Really are very few who can open the book and study it. Testing sanctuary it is very terrible. Very few are the human beings who have been able to pass this test. All victorious passing sanctuary test receive a precious jewel. Solomon's seal, a ring full of light ineffable. The neophyte who touches it with his left hand, you lose inevitably. Another meaning of the Seal of Solomon is as follows. Above, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Below, the power that governs, the intimo, power deliberating, mind, the power to perform, the personality. When the power that deliberates and the power run rebel was insubordinate against governor, the intimo, the result is failure. The 3 traders usually seize the powers deliberating and running. Bodhisattvas sometimes they tend to receive messages from the higher worlds. The ignorant confuse bodhisattvas with the mediums of spiritualism. There is medium and the ombudsman. The medium is negative, the mediator is positive. The medium is the vehicle tempting serpent of Eden. The bodhisattva medianro is the vehicle copper serpent that healed the Israelites in the desert. The great teachers often dictate messages with their lips bodhisattvas. People do not they understand this and confuse medianros with simple mediums of spiritualism. People only carried away appearances. In the Seal of Solomon, they are represented all the positive and negative forces universal magnetism. In the works of high magic it is necessary to draw a circle around it. This circle would be totally closed but he was interrupted by the Seal of Solomon. The Gnostics brothers must 18 page 19, making the Seal of Solomon with the 7 metals. You can make medallions and rings with Solomon's seal. You must use the Seal of Solomon in all works of invocation and elementary practices as we have taught in the 4th lesson of Kabbalah. The elementals of nature tremble before the seal of the living God. The angel of the 6th seal Apocalypse is now reincarnated in a female body, is a specialist sacred science of Janus. Arcanym, VI, 6 is the love of the tarot. Man between vice and virtue. The Arcanon 6 is blacksmithing, balance, togetherness loving man and woman, terrible struggle between love and desire, mysteries of the Lingam Yani, trunking. In Arcanon 6 of the Tarot is the struggle between the 2 ternary. Arcanon 6 is the supreme affirmation of the internal Christ and the supreme denial of Satan. Watch and pray. Chapter VIV Arcano. Remember that the number 7 represents magic power in all its force. The Holy Seven is the Santum Regnum of sexual magic. He number 7, VII, is the innermost served by all the forces elementals of nature. Everyone who works with the Arcanon AZF receives the Arcanon VII, the flaming sword. In the name of truth, we affirm that the flaming sword of the great hierophants, it is pure semen transmuted. That is the result of sexual magic. This is how we become terribly divine gods. The sexual organs are the legitimate laboratorium ortorium of amphitheatrum sepinctia vitrina. That is the sanctum regnum where the hierophant receives the sword of justice. In the garden of pleasure's alchemy finest word, vitriol. This is a acrostic derived from the phrase, visit interior a rectificature in Venus ecochem lapidem, visit the interior of our earth, rectifying find the stone hidden. We must look inside our philosophical earth, the human body, that rectifying, working with the Arcanon AZF, we shall find the philosopher's stone. The SOL, phallus, is the father of the stone. Moon, uterus, is the mother. The wind carried the sun in her womb, and the earth fed him. He SOL and Luna, masculine and feminine principles are combined within the chalice. Simple mind, sun, is the father of the stone, fire, the moon is the mother, water, wind, vapor seminal, let the sun in her womb and philosophical ground alchemiste fed him. The chalice rests on the coccyx of Mercury, the central system, spinal column, with the 2 sympathetic cords, known in the East with the names of Ida and Pingala. In the generation of the philosopher's stone 2 influences act, a male character, another female character. All work is done with the great arcanum. The 7-pointed star is an inseparable part of acrostic vitriol. The 7 serpents of alchemy are related to the 7 planets and 7 great cosmic realizations. 19 page 20. The acrostic vitriol with its 7 letters and 7 words symbolizes all the great work. The VI Arcano mysteries are terribly divine. The 7 points of the great star of alchemy have the sacred symbols of 7 planets. The 7 words of vitriol and double circle of male and female forces surrounding the great star specnary shining like a sun in the temple of science. The sun and moon, fire and water, the king and queen are an integral part of the work of all alchemiste pigeon. The pigeon has to do 7 great work culminating in the crowning of the great work. In the center of the specnary star of alchemy, it is engraved the face of a venerable elder-based illustration of Vordrium Chimicum. The venerable face of the 7-fold star symbolizes the Cephalic Mercury. The Ents Minis, listen, fledglings of alchemy, listen to Stelzio explaining this emblem, that which was previously locked in many ways, what you see now included in one. The stars are old and he has the key, sulfur with salt and mercury give wealth. If you do not see nothing here, there is no reason you keep looking, because thou shalt be blind, even amid light. Those students of occultism who think thoroughly done without the Arcanon AZF are absolutely wrong. The Great Master's secret sister says students who want to know the mysteries of iron, fire, should look to the medieval alchemists. The great Yogini teacher was true disciple of Count Humi, and yet after widow of Count Blavatsky she married Colonel Elskit to work with the Arcanon of the sexual magic. Only then he managed to be done thoroughly. The great yogi avatar, Mr. Lahiri Lahasarya, was called to the initiation by the immortal Babaji when he and wife. So the yogi avatar was performed. In Hindustan, sexual magic is known by the Sanskrit term Urdhvayatis, and yajis who practice it are called Urdhvayatis yajis. Authentic yajis practice sexual magic with their wives. Brahmacharya, sexual abstention absurd, the only thing it serves is to cause sickening wet dreams with all its dire consequences. Hatha yoga is a matter of ropes that have the power to take the man out of world superior to enslave the physical world. We never in my life have met a Maromero Hatha yogi with internal lighting powers. 3 rays lighting intimate self-realization, the yogi, the mystical and the perfect marriage. But the 3 rays inevitably need of sexual magic. All the other than sex is useless waste of time. We departed from Eden through the door of sex. Only through that door we can enter the Edom. Edom is the same sex. Tarot Arcanon VII is represented by a crowned warrior wearing the triangle on its crown and stands on the cubic stone of Yesod, sex. The 2 sphinxes white and black that they are pulling his chariot symbolize the masculine and feminine forces. The armor is the divine science which makes them powerful. The warrior must learn to use the staff and the sword. That will achieve great victory. Our motto is Thelma, will, remember that there are 7 vices that we transmuted into wisdom and love. Pride is transmuted into solar faith and humility of Christ. Lunar avarice is transformed into hope and altruism. The fatal Venus lust is transmuted into chastity of Venus and charity of the spirit. Wrath of Mars is transmuted into force wonderful love. Laziness is transmuted into prudent activity of Mercury. Gluttony it is transmuted into Saturnian temperance. Only science transmutations weaken 20 page 21. Defects disintegrate and dissolve the psychological ego. Work with the arcanon AZF for you receive the sword. The governors of the 7 planets are Gabriel, Raphael, Riel, Michael, Samael, Zachariel, Orpheus. The 7 notes of the lyre of Orpheus correspond to the 7 planets. Each color solar prism, a planetary note corresponds. Alchemy is intimately related to music. Atalanta is the voice that flees. Hippomenes is the voice pursued and Apple is the voice delay. Iwao is the supreme mantra of sexual magic. Iwao is the name of the serpent. Blessed is the Iao. The Iao. It must be sung during the experiments in the laboratory. So moving Tesna can rejoice. Sing 7 times the Iao. In the laboratorium, oratorium the mantra Wingri has absolute power over fire. Sing it also in the laboratory moratorium to carry the fire to each of your 7 chakras. Sing it like this. In Rian Ron Ron Ranra. Syllabodalism like this. In RRRII, clairvoyance, and RRREEE, clairaudience, UNRRROOO, heart, intuition, UNRRRUUU, telepathy, solar plexus, ANRRRAA, pulmonary chakras, recall past incarnations, the great hierophant Jesus Christ send these mantras in the laboratorium, oratorium of the Farron Pyramid. The 7 Kabbalistic signs of the planets are, for the sun a snake with lion head, for the moon a balloon cut by 2 crescents, for Mars, a dragon biting guards of a sword. For Venus sexual lingam. For Mercury codgeese and baboon. For Jupiter flaming pentagram a regal peak. For an old Colo Saturn or a snake helica linked in stone. The 7 talismans have the power to attract the 7 forces planetary. Gold is the metal of the sun. Silver is the metal of the moon. Iron is the metal Mars. Copper is the metal of Venus. Quicksilver is the metal of Mercury. Tin is metal him Jupiter. Lead is the metal of Saturn. With stones and metals can be prepared perfect talismans. The Lord's Prayer is the most perfect prayer because it has 7 magic petitions. Practice asana. Lie down on the floor student on a carpet. Open your legs and arms right and left to look like a 5-pointed star. Relax your whole body. No think of nothing. Put a blank mind. Focus the student in your internal God. Start pray to our Father too slowly, thinking about the meaning of each request. Lull himself to sleep to get to sleep, meditating on every word, every phrase, worshiping, worshiping, worshiping. When the student wakes from sleep, do not move. Practice a retrospective exercise to remember their inner experiences, where you were, where happened in astral body, he did, what he saw, etc. etc. This exercise should be daily, without ever tiring. You will have to get to see and hear the great internal realities. 21 page 22, chapter Virvinir Kano. We will study in this lesson the 8th key of Basil Valentine. Illustration of Vordrium Chimicum. The 8th key is a alchemical allegory, clear and perfect of processes of death and resurrection that inevitably happen in the esoteric preparation of the Philosopher's Stone. All intimate preparation of the stone and metal transmutation is there represented in this allegory. Every human material used in this work dies, it rots, corrupts and blackens in the egg philosopher, then bleached beautifully. In the philosopher's egg, content is all the work of the great work. Male sexual principles, women are contained in the egg. Egg and leaves the pigeon, and the golden egg of Brahma comes the universe. Egg well philosopher, comes the master. In the illustration of Vordrium Chimicum, death is represented by a corpse, the putrefaction by crows, sown by a humble farmer, growth by an ear of wheat, the resurrection for the dead rising from the grave and an angel playing the trumpet of judgment. The Gnostics know that the cadaver, the death of the 8th key of Basil Valentine, represents the 2 witnesses of the apocalypse who are now dead. Alchemists die by putrefaction, represented by crows, through the work of alchemy, the 2 witnesses raised. Our motto is Thelma. All power is enclosed in the seed whose symbol is the wheat spike. The angel sacred within us, so sacred, plays his trumpet and the 2 witnesses rising from the grave. 2 archers, one who hits the target and one that errs, symbolize the 2 interpretations alchemicus that can occur, the right and wrong. Sexual magic and white magic black sexual. Alchemy gold and erotic Satanism. Golden alchemy there is no ejaculation of the ens minis. In erotic Satanism yes there ejaculation of the ens minis. In India, the black yajus, Ajara Sampada, ejaculate the Ansminis, Shastra, to mix criminally with Raja women in the vagina. Then reabsorbed by the use of negative virally that liquor already mixed with female Rajas. Think so the black yajus, Benzes and Dugpas, achieve wisely unite the solar and lunar atoms to awaken the Kundalini. The result of the black tantra is the negative awakening of the serpent. Then this, instead of up, down to the atomic infernus of man and becomes the tail of Satan. This is how the black yajus end up separated from the internal God forever. Those are goddamn. That is the black magic. That way never raise the two witnesses apocalypse. That is the path that leads to the abyss and the second death. Anyone who ejaculates his seminal liquor away from his internal God. Yajus who practice yoga positive sexual magic. And Sminis not ejaculate. In this case, the combination of Shasa, solar atoms, and Raja, lunar atoms, is made within the philosophical egg, within the sexual samochemistry laboratory. This is how resuscitate the two witnesses. These are the two olive trees and the two candlesticks before the God of earth. And if anyone wants to harm them, fire comes from their mouths, and 22 page 23, devours their enemies. And if anyone would harm, it is necessary that he be killed. These have power to shut heaven, those who practice sexual magic with ejaculation of semen, that no rain in the days of their prophecy, and have power over waters, human, to make them blood and to smite the earth, philosophical, the human organism of fornicators, with all plagues, as often as they, according to Law Revelation cap 11. 426. Provision of witnesses. The two witnesses are a pair of sympathetic cords, semi-eteric, semi-physicists, which threaten the spinal cord, forming the sacred eight, the sign of the infinite. In the male that two witnesses they depart from both right and left testicles, and women from the ovaries. The two witnesses they are situated to the right and left sides of the spine. The two witnesses ascend alternatively from left to right to form a marvelous knot in space between the eyebrows, then continue through the nostrils. The two witnesses connect the sexual organs in the nostrils. The ganglionic cord that comes from the left side is called lunar. This pair of nervous cords are graciously knotted in the calyx. When atoms solar and lunar, the seminal system, make contact in the triveni, near the calyx, awakens Kundalini. The sexual union between initiated only aims to establish contact polar opposites, for awaken the Kundalini. Sexual contact with Mercury of the secret philosophy multiplies, increase the seminal liquor. Not being ejaculate the Ansminis is transmitted into seminal vapors. These in turn become energies bipolarized in positive and negative. Positive are the solar forces. The negatives are the lunar forces. Solar and lunar energies rise by between the pair of sympathetic cords known as the two witnesses, Ida and Pingala. The channel core has an inner hole normally found in ordinary people in closed currents. The seminal vapors open the hole so that the sacred serpent from there within the medullary canal. It is necessary to warn the brothers Gnostic Rosicrucians who must learn to polarize the sacred fire of Kundalini. Some devotees eat meat daily, drink alcohol in the pretext of working in the great work, beastly enjoy the carnal passion, even if they spend the Ansminis, feel joy lust. The result is that these devotees then polarize fully fire in the crass underbelly and then lose the happiness of enjoying the bliss of thousand-petal lotus. That lotus is located in the pineal gland. That is the crown of the saints that shines in the head of the great initiates. The lotus of 1,000 petals makes us masters of samadhi, ecstasy. Work in the laboratory or mortorium is a true mystical ceremony that should not be profaned by animal desire, nor evil thoughts. Sex is the sanctum sanctorum temple. Before entering the sanctum of the sanctum, purify your mind of all impure thought. Esoteric trials and arcanim 8 initiatory tests are enclosed. Each initiation, each grade has its tests. Initiatory tests are becoming more demanding in Ikatiko according to grade. He number 8 is the degree of job. This sign, this number means tests and pains. Tests initiatory, they performed in the higher worlds and in the physical world. Tarot card 8 and Arcanim 8 of the Tarot, a woman appears with a sword in hand, before the balance of that 3 page 23, cosmic justice. Really only she can give the sword the wizard. No woman, no initiated manages receive the sword. There is Ava Venus, the instinctive woman. Ava Venus, woman noble home. There is the Venus Yarania, the woman initiated into the great mysteries, and finally we affirm the existence of Yarania Venus, the woman adept, the woman conducted thoroughly. Fire flamboyant, the flaming fire opens the 7 churches of revelation, 7 magnetic centers of the bone spinal. With the first center located at the height of the sexual organs, we conquered the powers from the earth. With the second, located at the height of the prostate, we conquered the waters. With the third, located at the navel, we conquered the universal fire. With the fourth, located at the heart, I conquered the air. The heart is the sanctuary of Sphira, the mother of Sphirith, the divine cosmic mother. With the fifth center located at the height of the larynx creative, we receive the holy air and dominate the akash with which we can preserve the living body even during the great cosmic nights. With the sixth, conquer the heart center magnetic father, located between the eyebrows. Then we become clairvoyant. With the seventh center located in the pineal gland, receive polyvoyance, intuitive view, ecstasy. Balancing the scales, 8 women arcana tarot has the balance in one hand and in the other the sword. Is necessary to balance the forces. It is absolutely necessary and urgent to sanctify and practice Arcanum AZF. The forces of man and woman are balanced in love and wisdom. The double-cross pentacles of Pythagoras and Ezekiel represents the Arcanum 8. Venus balances the works of Mars. Mercury balances and performs the works of the sun and the moon, up and down. In the macrocosmos and the microcosmos, man. The works of the sun and moon, the man and woman, are balanced and made by Mercury of the secret philosophy, the Ensminis. Yogi or Yogini no can never be done without the Arcanum AZF. Those who want to exclude the Arcanum AZF as yoga are violating the law of the Arcanum 8. Those are the losers. The old Saturn sways the father of the gods, Jupiter Thunderer. That is the law of equilibrium. Chapter IXIX Arcano. In this lesson, we will study the 9th key Basil Valentine, illustration Vordrium Chimicum. The 9th key represents old Saturn falling and the moon goddess rising victorious. The first is the lead and the second is silver, the atom terrenal, psychological me. This must fall and die, so that an atom Christ is born us. We need to transmute lead into gold. Lead personality must be transmuted into the gold of the spirit. The Mercury moon Cephalic, the Ensminis, must stand up and return inward and upward. Disembodied means perpetuating the error. The psychological self, the atom terrenal, born Millennium times, is reincarnates to satisfy desires. Earthly birth is the perpetuation of ignorance. Born in spirit and in truth means earthly death of Adam. 24 page 25. Adam Christ is born of the seed. Grain, seed needs Thelma, will, to heroically germinate the Superman. The birth of this is not the result of evolution. This does not need improvement as they suppose many students of occultism. The evolution is simply the movement of universal life according to the concepts of time, space and movement. Within the evolving nature, they are contained all possibilities. Some become good and some become very bad. But the Superman is not the result of evolution, but the product of a tremendous revolution awareness. Adam Christ is so different from Adam terrenal, lightning black cloud, ray born from the cloud, but not the cloud. Lightning is the Superman and the cloud is man. Nature is a problem sexual, the path is sexual transmutation. In the 9th key, a rectangle appears, representing the 4 elements of alchemy. Carefully studying this rectangle, discovered a double circle, symbolizes the mercurial wisely matter with their 2 properties, generation and regeneration. The double circle contains 3 emerging snakes, 3 hearts. We really need to work with the mercury, sulfur and salt, to raise the metal snake on the pole. Only by working with raw material mercury, sulfur, salt is born in us the Atom Christ, on the double circle of mercurial matter, supports Avenue Phoenix, born from its own ashes. We are to be imitators of this mythological bird, but this is only possible by working with the grain. The ego volatility Atom terrenal is dominated by the Crow-putrefaction. The moon goddess wears on his head a white swan. We whiten the raven with sexual transmutation, to become the Immaculate Swan Ascension. In the 9th key all the symbolism of the great work is enclosed. You cannot work with the sphere auditory without being alchemist and Kabbalist. 9 Arcanos Age, seek the treasure in the 9th sphere. You have to study the theories and work with the grain. There can be no practice without theory. The 9th sphere, a hidden sentence states that nothing can go but by the same door coming. We departed from Eden. Eden is sex itself. Only the door of sex we can enter the Edom. The fetus, after serving with the whole process of gestation and reach his time, he goes through the same door through which he entered his seed. That is the law. The physical body of man is the result of 9 months of gestation between the womb. By the law of philosophical analogies also we deduce that the human species remains tagged as 9 ages the womb of the divine cosmic mother Isis, Rea, Kibbles, Mary, Adonia, Insoberta, Kelly, etc. This return to the starting point is nothing in the real initiation, the descent to the 9th sphere, act test for the supreme dignity of the great hierophant mystery. In the 9th sphere is the lip forge of Vulcan, sex. There lo Mars retemper his flaming sword and conquer the heart of Venus, the Venusian initiation. Hercules to clean the ozone stables, low funds animals. Perseus to cut the head of the Medusa, the psychological self or earthly atom, with his flaming sword. All great masters of humanity such as Hermes, Buddha, Jesus, Dante, Zoroaster, etc. They had to go through the ultimate test. In the terrible porch of the ninth sphere is written the phrase that closes the passage to the profane, Ogni speranza celestiate voyage and trait. Thus O'Hare emphatically warns us that in the bottom of the abyss lies Adam Prediglists, the differentiating principle of souls. With that in principle we have to dispute our 5 to the death, 25 page 26, the victory. The struggle is terrible, brain against sex, sex against brain, and what is more terrible, what is more painful is heart against heart, you know it. In the heart of the earth is shining the sign of the infinite. The sign of the infinite is the Holy Eight. In this sign are represented the heart, brain and sex of the genie of the earth. Name secret of that genius is Kamdan. The infinity sign is in the center at the ninth sphere. The land has 9 atomic podiums. In the ninth stratum the sign of the infinite is 9 initiations mysteries minor staggered correspond with each of these 9 terrestrial strata. Each initiation of lesser mysteries gives us access to each of these 9 terrestrial strata. Alone can reach the heart of the earth those who have received the 9 initiations lesser mysteries. Each ground layer is guarded by terrible guards. Secrets roads lead to disciple to the heart of the earth. Vital double current land genius is represented in the sign of infinity. The double current vital sustains and nurtures the whole planet Earth. All living beings are organized on this divine archetype. In the center there is a sign of the infinite divine atom. The 9 areas of atomic vibration concentrically focus on this atom genius Earth. The Holy Eight of Glory shines in the center at the Earth. In the center at this Holy Eight is the central atom which focus 9 spheres of universal vibration. That is the law. Kabbalistic traditions. The Kabbalistic traditions say that Adam had 2 wives, Lilith and Nahama. Lilith is the mother of abortions, homosexualism and generally of all crimes against nature. Nahama it is malignant and fatal beauty. Nahama is the mother of adultery and fornication passion. All marriage violates the law is easy to recognize because the wedding day, the bride appears bald spot. Being the sacred hair of modesty in women's symbol, that day is forbidden to use it. Then the veil covers our hair instinctively, as if you keep. The abyss is divided into 2 main areas in phrase actuals. These are the spheres of Lilith and Nahama. The inhabitants of the sphere of Lilith give no hope of salvation. The people of the area Nahama still give hope of redemption. Sphere of Lilith there are people who hate sex. Hermits, monks, mystics, spiritualists, people from different organizations, pseudo-occultists, etc. All these people in phrase actuals hate sex and feel superior to normal sex. They were established by in phrase actuals. These morbidly hate the arcanonym AZF, yet but they special licenses are given, so it is not difficult to find tucked into many homosexuality convents and schools dedicated to pseudo-spiritualist or esoteric studies. All crimes unnatural in phrase actual are in the sphere of Lilith. Sphere Nahama seduces with the charm of her malign beauty. Adultery is born of that fatal charm. In the sphere 26, page 27, we Nahama find the cruel delights a realm of infrasexuality. In the atomic regions in phrasexual sphere of Nahama live all tenorios one and dona inus, or beautiful courtesans, some sweet, some cruel. People of normal sex if alert and vigilant, can become fatal proselytes of in phrasexuals. These dress in santos, apostles, hermits, etc. And so believing themselves superior, deceive people of normal sexuality and become his followers. Understood by people of normal sexuality to those without sexual conflicts of any kind. Sexuality in normal sex is in perfect balance with spheres thought, feeling and will. Those persons or have sex abuse aberration of any kind. The sphere of phrasexuality is the area of internal lighting. Sexual pleasure precedes mystical ecstasy. Sexual sensations are transmitted into feelings of ecstasy ineffable. To mystical ecstasy age always precedes the age of sexual gozo. Mystical ecstasy age begins where the age of sexual joy ends. After receiving the Venus in initiation, after being born in us the Adam Christ, we then get the philosopher's head drop matter and give it to the Son of Man. This means transplanting all energies sex. We must give all the sexual energies Adam Christ, so it is fortifies absolutely. The road is called transmutation and sexual sublimation. Anyone who arrives at this point is a master of samadhi. The same energy that produces sexual sensations when transmuted then produces mystical ecstasy. Christ, Buddha, Hermes, Quetzal Coatl and many other avatars were phrasexuals. Volcano. The sexual energy manifests in 3 different types. The first type relates to the reproduction of the species, the second with the spheres of thought and will, the third with the world of pure spirit. All processes related to sexual transmutation are made possible by the intervention vital body. This is the tonnage that produces blood and semen in the human body. East Vulcan is transmuting the seminal liquor into crystal energy. The vital body is the vehicle soul consciousness in humans. Consciousness is called in the vital body as the Pebalo. Vulcan, it exists in the microcosmos and the macrocosmos, in man and in nature. The great Vulcan of nature is the Edeme, this is the Eteric plane. Cosmic rhythms all paginal chemistay after being crowned, it recedes slowly intercourse. The secret connubia will increasingly diverge according to certain cosmic rhythms marked by the Oriental gong. So they sublimate the sexual energies and transmute into ecstasy, he continued. The school of alchemy that in previous reincarnations worked on the majesty realm of fire laboratory performs this work in a relatively short time. Those first work in the great work need at least 20 years, 20, of intensive work, for enter the second stage of 20, to go slowly removing the work lab. Total 40 years, 40, to do all the work. When the alchemist spills glass of Hermes fire stove laboratory is turned off and all the work is lost. 27 page 28. Sexual magic mantra care. Continue now with the powerful mantras. Kalika, Solasa, Zizar. Kalika is the internal god. Solasa is the earthly man and Zizar is the body astral. These powerful mantrams develop our internal powers. We talked also the Enri and its amendments. The alchemist should not forget any of these mantras. 9 Arcanim Tarot. The hermit prudent and wise wrapped in the protective mantle of Apollonius which symbolizes prudence, rests on the staff of the patriarchs and illuminated with the Hermes lamp, wisdom. The alchemist should always do that Father's will, must be humble to attain wisdom and after consent must be even more humble than anyone. It is better to be silent and die. Dying the sin Adam Christ is born. Chapter XX Arcano. In this lesson we will study the Arcanon 10X of the Tarot. Is necessary to analyze the cosmogonic wheel of Ezekiel. In this wheel we find the battle of the antitheses. Hermanubis climbs the right of the fatal wheel and Tiphon descends to the left. This is the wheel of centuries of reincarnation and karma. On the wheel is the mystery Sphinx brandishing its claws of Leon the flaming sword. This is the antithesis wheel. The bronze serpent that healed the Israelites in the desert and the terrible tempting serpent of Eden is fight each other. In this wheel the whole secret of the tree is enclosed of knowledge. The only source out the 4 rivers of paradise, one of which runs through the thick jungle of the sun watering the earth light philosophical gold, and the other circulates dark and murky by the united the abyss. Light and darkness, white magic and black magic is fight each other. Eros and Andros, Cain and Abel live within ourselves in intense battle until discovering the mystery Sphinx, wield the flaming sword, then we not freed from the wheel of the centuries. Lunar consciousness deep sleep, this is the product of the unfaithful memory, the human being, only aware of what they remember, no one can be aware of things that are not remember. Sin Adam's memory. It's the same it is incarnate, it is the lunar consciousness. Clairvoyants claim that is made up of atoms of the secret enemy. It is a remnant lunar our dark past, the larva of the threshold. Our Gnostic disciples must understand that this type of mole consciousness means something, to be aware and someone who is aware of that. Lunar consciousness is subject to all class limitations, qualifications, restrictions, reactions, is a product of matter, the result of heredity of race, family, habits, customs, prejudices, desires, fears, etc. The atom of sin with its lunar consciousness reincarnates supposedly for gain experience in the school of life. The experiences complicate and strengthen the atom of sin. Deem innocent humanity is now terrible and perverse humanity pump atomic and hydrogen bomb. 28 page 29. The innocent child becomes the experiences in the wily old man, suspicious, malicious, avaricious, fearful, that is the lunar consciousness. The devil is the devil and will never be perfect. The great H.P. Blavatsky teacher said, strengthen your soul against the wiles of the eye, make it worthy the name of diamond soul. Solar consciousness, there are changes in consciousness and consciousness changes. All development of consciousness originates changes in that. Changes in consciousness are superficial and useless. We need a change of consciousness. When we dissolve the lunar consciousness is born in us awareness solar. It must die in us the atom of sin to be born in us the atom Christ. When we release solar electronic matter enclosed in the seminal atoms, wield the flaming sword. Perseus down to the fiery forge of Vulcan to decapitate the atom sin, the Medusa, with his flaming sword. John the Baptist is beheaded and crucified Christ to save to the world. The beheading of innocent children, the initiates, is repetition of initiation. Then born in us the solar consciousness. This contains in itself the knower, the knowledge and the thing known. 3 in 1, 1 in 3. Solar consciousness is omnipresent, pervading. Solar consciousness frees man from the fatal wheel of the centuries. Sexual cycles. Uranus is the octave of Venus, governs phases male and female sex. It has a cycle sexual 84. This cycle is divided into 42 periods, positive male and negatives fmenemos. Uranus always presents its poles toward the sun. For 42 years he has the positive pole and the negative pole 42 years. Now we understand where the alternating stimulation of the two sexes born. Biorhythms marveloso of 84 years. The wheel of the centuries revolves 40 periods. Half imposed sex male and half female. Uranus sexual cycle agrees with the average human life. This means that in middle age vibrates in us the antithesis of sexual cycle in which we were born. Then we feel sexually stimulated. We understand why men and women in their 40s are really right to work in the great work, and sexual feelings are more vigorous in this age. Light and consciousness are two phenomena of the same thing. A higher degree of Christ consciousness, greater degree of light. The sun Christ consciousness is gradually being absorbed by planets. When the planets in our solar system have fully absorbed the divine solar consciousness, then life, light and heat not only occupy the post-astronomical sun, then the entire solar system shine like a sun. This is the case of Antares giant sun, 1,000,000 times more rarefied than our sun. In the solar system, light Antares is located not only in the sun, each of the planets has become a sun. Planetary humanities enjoy solar consciousness, the result of the better splendors of the solar system Antares. 29 page 30, 10 Spirit. There is talk of 10 Spirit. 12 are really the Spirit. The Ein Sof is the 11 and 10% antithesis is the abyss, is the sphere of Dosa. There are 12 spheres or universal regions which penetrate and permeate each other without get confused. The 12 spheres gravitate in the central atom of the sign of the infinite. In those 12 solar spheres humanity unfolds. We said that the sign of the infinite is in the center earth, in her heart. The 10 spirit of universal vibration emanate from the Ein Sof, which is micro-cosmic star that guides our interior. The real being of our being. Her 10 spirit will emerge. First Keter, the ancient of day. Second Chekma, the region of wisdom. Third Bina, intelligence. Fourth Kesed, the world's intimo. Fifth Gebre, the world of soul consciousness, the region of rigor and justice. Sixth Tifherth, the causal world, the region will, balance and beauty. Seventh Natza, the region of victory, the world of mental man, anyone who does for himself from the four bodies of sin is a Buddha. Eighth Head, the splendor, the region of the astral body. Ninth Yazot, the foundation, sex, eteric plane. 10th Malhuth, the kingdom in general, the physical world. Malhuth is the supreme filter, tis region left for the Ein Sof or to the abyss, that is the law. The Sphereth or atomic, the 10 Sphereth can be reduced to 3 tables. First, table of Quanta, the radiant energy coming from the sun. Second, table of atomic weights of the elements of nature. Third, table of molecular weights of compounds, this is Jacob's ladder leading from the earth to heaven. All the worlds of cosmic consciousness are reduced to 3 tables. All the 10 Spirit known become Sphera, the Divine Mother, who resides in the heart temple. Direct key for direct knowledge. It is necessary that our Gnostic disciples learn to leave the physical body in their vehicles interior to full consciousness, to penetrate Spherotic's different regions. You need to know directly the 12 critical areas of universal vibration which they operate in all living beings in the universe. Focus the disciple in the heart Keko where dwells Divine Cosmic Mother. Beg the disciple Sphera, the Mother of the Sphereth, begging him out of the body and bring it to the various departments of the kingdom to study directly Sphereth of Kabbalah. Pray much the disciple and meditate on the Divine Mother and vocalize mantrams Kabbalistic mind the following. Lithros, Lithros, Licanto, Ligoria. Vocalize these mantra syllables. If you observe carefully these intelligent phonetic 30 page 31 mantrams, highlight the 3 vowels IAO. Of the great mysteries in these sacred mantras of Kabbalah hides and combines IAO. The disciple must fall asleep mentally vocalizing these 4 mantrams Kabbalistic. Upon awakening from sleep is normal necessary to practice a retrospective exercise to remember that we saw and heard during sleep. Initiation. Flee from those who sell initiations. Remember that good devotee initiation is your own lifetime. If you want initiation, write it on a stick, which is understanding that understands, because here is wisdom. The path of liberation is represented by the life, passion, death, resurrection and ascension of our adorable Savior. Remember that I do not receive initiations. Do not presume started. Do not say I have so many initiations, I have such powers, because that is pride and vanity. Only Intimo receives initiations. You poor man, you are more than the sinning shadow of one who has never sinned. Try die increasingly same, to be born in you, the Son of Man. Chapter XIX Arcano. This lesson corresponds to the study of 11 Arcanon Tarot. Key hieroglyph of this arcanon is a beautiful woman crowned with the sign infinity sacred, calmly and with an Olympic serenity, closes with his own hands the jaws of a furious lion. The thrones of the divine kings were adorned with lions solid gold. Gold means the sacred fire of Kundalini. This we reminds Horus, gold. We need to transmute the lead of the personality into the gold of the spirit. This work is only possible in the alchemist laboratory. When the alchemist is crowned pigeon, it is transformed into a god fire, then opened with his own hands the terrible jaws of Leon Furious. The potable gold of alchemy is the sacred fire Holy Spirit. It would be impossible to ligament cross man in the triangle spirit without potable gold. Number 11. This number consists of 2 units. Heinrich Hunrith translates into 2 words, coagula solve. We need to build the sacred fire, and then learn to project. The key is in the virile membrum connection with Liris genitalia, stillness of membrum virile and genitalium uriris, occasionally smooth movement. Transmute animal instincts and will. Sexual passion and love. Lustful thoughts and understanding, and thus vocalize man-trans secrets. 11 Kabbalistically decomposes as follows: 1 + 1 = 2. 1 male, 2 female. Pair of opposite of Santu alchemy, positive, negative, active, passive, referring to figure. Page 32. Osiris, Isis, Baal, Bel, Astarte, Ishtar, Shiva, Parvati, husband, wife, father, mother, sun, moon, fire, water, hot, cold, volatile, fixed, sulfur, Mercury. Chinese alchemy of the sky is male, as yang, and his element is fire. The earth is feminine, like yang, and element is water. In Taoist doctrine, found White Tangerism. The yin, yang, and Dragon and tiger are the backbone of Taoism. According to the Taoist interpretation, the yin-yang is Theta Itai product, the raw material of the universe, and the sexual union of this pair of opposites it is creating it. In the White Tangerism of India and Tibet, they are metna, magic sexual. White Tantric Buddhism, Taoism, Chinese, and legitimate yogas Tibetan practice the Arcanon AZF only. Pseudo-yetis and phrasexuals both abound in the Americas and Asia. Hate the Arcanon AZF. The alchemy of China is the foundation of the genuine schools of yoga. Yellow lodges are schools of regeneration. In phrasexuals, regeneration hate morbidly schools. Schools of regeneration regenerate, it means generated again, that is recreated, recreated. This birth again, it is an absolutely sexual problem. Schools are governed regeneration by Neptune. This planet has a cycle of 165 years. This cycle controls the times of activities, public and secret, of these schools. Esotericism schools of regeneration is the Arcanon AZF. Teachers of those schools teach the disciples science that allows them to dissolve itself. It is necessary, not born in us the same. Something old must die and something new man and born to him. Regeneration means creating within us themselves a new cosmos. Only by working with the lion of fire it is possible this creation. The chakras of the sexual glands are controlled by Uranus, but schools regeneration, they are of Neptunian type. Great astrologers claim that the pineal gland is influenced by Neptune. The power of the pineal gland, it depends on sexual potency. In the course of history, there have been large schools of regeneration. Suffice it to recall the alchemist school of the Rosicrucians. It was secreted in the year 1620. It comes to memory as Aryavardha ashram schools in Tibet. Manichaean sect of Persian origin. The famous Sufis with their sacred dances. The Templars, etc. etc. All these were schools of regeneration, is practiced in all the coitus reservations. Regeneration schools are the gold chain of the Lodge Blanca. 32 page 33. Projection of fire. The Kundalini can be projected to any chakra or any distant place in the vertebrae. Kundalini cervical often takes the form of Quetzal. This is the bird of Minerva. At supreme moment of the sacred copulation, can send the bird of fire to each of the 7 chakras, to awaken them fully. The 2 Quetzals, the male and Varuna, feed with water del Pozo, the Ents Minis. Man and woman can order the Quetzal and firebird will obey. The mantra powerful Jaori is the secret key that gives us the power to open the Quetzal. This Milagroso Avenue can transform the face in cases of grave danger, can make us invisible, you can wake up any chakra of the astral body, can heal distant sick, etc. Imagination. There are 2 types of imagination. Mechanical imagination, fantasies, and imagination conscious, clairvoyance. Gnostic students must learn to use conscious imagination. Practice 1. Sitting in a comfortable chair or lying supine, the disciple must quieting your mind and their emotions. Now 2. Imagine the wonderful Quetzal floating over his head. 3. Mentally vocalize the mantra of power Prewoyola. With this mantra will attract your divine image imagination Quetzal bird splendid and beautiful long tail plume. He disciples should become familiar with the bird and learn to deal with it. You can awaken your internal powers. The mantra Prewoyola as used by schools of large gold chain allows us to bring conscious imagination, any image of the higher worlds. Then we see clairvoyantly. The alchemist should use this mantra during the trance of sexual magic to see the Quetzal. Chapter XIIXII Arcanim. We must now study the 12 Arcana Tarot. Chinese tradition he speaks of the 10 logs, shikan, and 12 branches. These are 10 spheres in the 12 faculties of the human being. It is necessary to know that the 7 chakras and the 5 senses are the 12 faculties. The universe left the whole tongue Chinese. This is chaos primordial. Logs 10 and 12 branches left the chaos. This in alchemia is the ensminis, the lepis philosophorum or philosophical stone. Magnum whole mysterium is locked in that amount matter. The alchemist must extract from this universal menstruum gold drinking to achieve ligament of the cross with the triangle. Before this ligament of the cross with the triangle, we have no real existence. 4 bodies of sin, physical, ethereal, astral, mental, are controlled by the ego. 33 page 34. This is not the divine being of man. I really is a total sum of successive selves. John the drunk, Juan Tenorio, John the intellectual, religious John the businessman, John young, John mature, Juan old, etc. etc. They are a succession of I, a succession of ghosts that are inevitably condemned to death. The I is not the whole duty of man. John fought in the cantina, Juan became religious, Juan turned bandit. This is a dance of winds, what it is the true? While we do not escape from the multiplicity of all these fallacious I not we can ensure that we have real existence. The man has not yet incarnated his immortal soul, your divine self, from this point of view can ensure that man has not yet real existence. The annihilation of all these false and so-called centers of consciousness is only possible by denying himself. We are amazed to see so many students of occultism, settling beautiful and sound names and dressing in robes of grandmasters, when still not even have real existence. I need annihilate to have real existence. Do you want to drink? Do not drink. Want to smoke? Do not smoke. Do you wound on the right cheek? Put the left. The supreme negation of himself is in intercourse. Ejaculating the ensmin is not refuse at the last moment, it is absolute sacrifice. The I, the result of such self-denial is the awakening of the Kundalini. The fire burns the dross of evil and eventually dissolves absolutely. Fire is the potable gold. The great work is represented by the 12 Arcana Tarot. In this letter we see a man hanging from a foot. This man's hands are tied behind his back so that his body forms a triangle with the point and his legs across above the triangle. All work it aims to acquire Alma, namely, achieve ligament of the cross with the triangle. That is the great work. The letter 12 Tarot is sexual alchemy. Cross man must link with triangle spirit through the sexual fire. According to Chinese Fuji, the Atom Christ, God is born at midnight, the 4th day of the 10th moon in precise 12 years. The Virgin Jose strolling along the river, the seminal liquor, conceived in her womb the Christ by putting your foot on the footprint of the great man. These quantities must October 4, 2012 light study in the lessons 4, 10 and 12 of this year. Tantrismo black and white there in the East 2 kinds of Tantrism. In Tantrism positive ejaculation is not taught the ensminis. In Tantrism negative ensminis ejaculation is practiced. Exists gray also Tantrism, which is not given importance to the issue of ejaculation seminal. This is very dangerous because it can lead students to Tantrism negative, black Tantrism. Positive sexual yoga is practiced without ejaculation of seminal fluid. Exists a tantric sadhana for connecting the membrum virile and genitalium urialis. This connection it is performed after an exchange of caresses between men and women. The couple remains still, with a blank mind so that I do not intervene and come to ecstasy during tantric sadhana. All work is done by the tantric yet is under the guidance of a guru. The only serious exists in India is white tantrism. This prohibits the ensminis ejaculation. The 12th key Basil Valentine Arcanon 12 Epistolate is deeply studied in 12 key Basil Valentine. The 3. 4. Page 35. Important is to understand it. Just as the lion transforms the serpent into its own when devours flesh, so the philosopher's stone or projection powder or fire red lion Evo has the power to transform or transmute imperfect metals in its own substance igneous. The base metals are false values that constitute the self. The fire transmutes and I then dissolves. This is how we acquired Alma. Be different. Without gold ferment, fire, no one can compose the philosopher's stone or develop the dyed virtue. The tincture of fire has the power to penetrate all internal bodies to transform radically. What joins such as such to transform? The fire transforms love personality into the gold of the spirit. The synthesis of the great work is represented by 3 snakes, symbolizing mercury, sulfur and salt. The phoenix rises from its own ashes. The alchemists must work for 12 hours to achieve the ferment of gold. I have here the Arcanon 12 Kabbalah. Fermented who owns gold may have the joy of being really. No ID man is a sleeping machine. If you want to wake up from deep sleep you live, do not identify with the pleasures, desires, emotions, dramas, scenes of your life, etc. etc. On every step call yourself surveillance. Good disciple, remember that people are dreaming. Watch people in their dreams, those dreams that analyzes all humanity lives but not identify you to wake up. People think being awake because they are not lying, but have a deep awareness asleep and dream. Everything that you see among the people are just dreams. Remember that not identified not mean abandoning your duties as father, mother, or child, etc. But do not identify. So deep sleep wake you live. Chapter Kissia Arcanon Kissia. Today's study is the Arcanon Tarot 13. This is the Arcanon of the Death. Death is really a return to the matrix. Life and death are 2 phenomena of the same thing. Death is a subtraction integers. After the values are only aware of the operation. These, seen with clairvoyance, seem legion of ghosts continue. Reincarnation of values is the mechanics of nature. Soul really does not reincarnate because the man still he has not incarnated his soul. Only values reincarnate. Alma embryo. The man has only one embryo alma. This embryo can develop and be strengthened with sexual magic. Sometimes the embryo, believed to be the everything, and forgets his origin. When this happens, fail totally. Immortality. Man must achieve immortality. He does not have one. Only those who have embodied their soul are immortal. 35 page 34. Mind. That is said that man has a mind. We say that man has many minds. Each plural I ghost has his mind and even your self-independence. The man is a machine asleep, handled by the legion of self. We need to engender the Christ mind. Astral Christ who begets astral Christ can capture in the body. The astral Christ is born only with sexual magic. Those who in past reincarnations engendered the Christ astral preserve the memory of their past lives and know how to enter and exit the body at will. Those people are immortal. True identity. The ordinary man has not true identity, because through him, only expressed all the ghosts of the pluralized. After death man is legion. The soul who embodies the soul acquires true identity. Yes. Man is still a being not accomplished. Will man confuses the force of desire with the will. We need to engender the will Christ. The laboratory immortorium. The addict and his wife must work together in the laboratory immortorium. In the bridal chamber king and queen made their alchemists combinations. Outside the royal chamber of crows putrefaction devoured the sun and the moon. Blackening and putrefaction of the internal pupil bodies of sin. In a glass tomb the bodies of sin rot. The tomb of glass is the alchemist's day. Souls take flight. Symbol of the butterfly leaves the chrysalis. Symbol Christified vehicles leaving their pupae. A body hermaphrodite, Luna and Sun, comes to life with the heavenly influence of dew, the Ensminis. The hermaphrodite body are internal Christic vehicles that were engendered with sexual magic. All these Christic vehicles penetrate and interpenetrate without confusion. When a man possesses these vehicles, incarnates his soul. No man is truly man while not possess these Christic bodies. The retort of alchemy within the retort is the raw material of the great work. This matter is very volatile and venerable, is not fixed. Its special feature is the instability and variability. Igniting the fire sexual under the retort of alchemy, venerable matter is heated and melted. In reaching this part of the work, the venerable matter has become a beautiful child, radiant beauty, the Soma Pultrikan, the body of gold. With this beautiful vehicle we can consciously visit all the departments of the kingdom, giving it new properties. Our alchemia then appears within the astral ghost, astral Christ. 36 page 37. Precious child who gives his immortality. When this second body has been formed, the problem comes fully understand all the powers and knowledge. This it is possible only giving this alloy the Christ intelligence. The precious vehicle mind Christ rises happy in the retort of the laboratory. Mental goes inside the phantom. Complete all this work, still something missing. Christ will missing. Reheating retort intensely laboratory, comes to life a divine child. Will Christ. He divine soul body. Those who have created all these Christic vehicles within the retort of alchemy embody the soul fully. Only those who manage embody the soul deserve the precious title of man. Only this kind of men true can rise to the kingdom of being Superman. Only this kind of men true you may receive the elixir of long life. No sketch of man can incarnate the soul. No soulless can receive the elixir of long life. We must create the Christic vehicles to incarnate the soul. Only those embody the soul are entitled to receive the wonderful elixir that elevates us to the kingdom of Superman. Scales of snakes, pupa butterflies, ghosts, esoteric, astral, mental and causal. After each of the great initiations, major mysteries are serpent scale-like, but abandoned by them, or butterfly pupae abandoned after they have flown. The work of men, angels and gods after the great initiations is precisely cast erroneous and disintegrate, dissolve the pluralized. Ahimsara, the karmic gods of waste, are precisely these ghosts of self. Long life elixir. Every man who embodies the soul can order the elixir of long life. This is an immaculate gas whiteness. Said gas is deposited in the bottom of vital human organism. Resurrection on the third day. The initiating astral body, he comes before his holy sepulchre, accompanied by the divine hierarchies. The initiate calls to her body, and this with the help of the divine hierarchies are hyper penetrating the space. This is how it manages to escape from sepultura. On world supersensitive hyperspace, the holy women treat the body of the initiate with drugs and aromatic ointments. Obeying supreme orders, then penetrates the body within the soul head teacher for sidereal. This is how the master returns to be in possession of his body. This is the gift of Cupid. After the resurrection, the master does not return to die, it is eternal. Yogi Christ of India, the immortal Babaji and his immortal sister Mataji live with their physical body for millions of years. These immortals are the guardians of the wall guardian that protects humanity. Great service immortals can appear and disappear instantly. Become visible in the world physical at will. Cagliostro, Saint Germain, Quetzal Coatl and many other immortals have done in great works the world. 37 page 38. Superman. We must be first complete men, later, after the resurrection we rise from indeed the kingdom of the Superman. Modern man is nothing more than the ghost of a man. Chapter XIV Arcano. Very dear disciples, let us now study the Arcanim 14, the Tarot. Good to know that the profound wisdom of this Arcanim is divided classically into 3 parts. 1. Transmutation, 2. Transformation, and 3. Transubstantiation. We will study each of these 3 parts separately. Transmutation. In the Charter 14 appears an angel who has the sun sign in front. If we look at the angel's chest, we see there the square and Gnostic esoteric triangle. The angel has 2 cups mixed together. In one is the white elixir. In the other, red elixir. Smart mixture of these 2 substances is the elixir of long life. When the scenario man unites sexually to 7-fold woman giving of some is as a result the Arcanim 14 of the Tarot. It is not more secure way that man has 7 principles, like the woman. Sex is the most important center and fastest being human. The process of creating a new being is done within the law of musical octaves. The 7 notes of the musical scale are the basis of all creation. If we transmit the creative energy, we initiate a new octave in the eteric world, resulting in the birth of Somathutrikan, wedding entire Alma. With this vehicle, we can penetrate consciously in all the departments of the kingdom. The 3rd octave permits us to engender the astral true, the astral Christ. In reaching these heights, astral old ghost is reduced to an empty shell that disintegrates gradually. The 4th eighth allows us engender the Christ mind. This vehicle gives us true wisdom and unity of thought. Only he who engenders the Christ mind has the right to say I have mental body. He current mental body is only a ghost of the facade. It really becomes a shell hollow when the true mind is born, then disintegrates. It is reduced to cosmic dust. The 5th musical octave engenders the true causal body. In reaching these heights, we embody soul, then we have real existence. Before this moment we have no real existence. Working with prostate chakra daily work immediately ends with the Arcanim AZF. Must lie on the yoke, must stay supine, face up, and work with the prostatic chakra. This chakra is important in high magic. The yoke must stay, inhale that vital air, hold the breath, and in those moments directs nerve current down to the prostate with the intention to close those sphincters between the 38 page 39 seminal vesicles and urethra. That effort to send the electronerve currents must be similar to the effort made by women when making efforts to give birth. At such times the woman and her larynx spit out the letter M. Krumheller says that by the letters M and S must stare to initiation. We want to be born in the internal worlds. We must also use the M as one bid. It is born and we nacer, then exhale slowly. We look back the breath and inhale naturally. Pump mentally. We drive up the creative energy by the two channels Ida and Pingala to the chalice, the brain. And we continue to repeat the effort. Imagination and will. Imagination is feminine, the will is masculine. As we work with prostate chakra, we must unite these two powers in alchemicus weddings to promote the rise of energy creative. First, by the sympathetic channels of the physical body. Second, through the channels eteric body friendly. Third, by sympathetic channels of the desired body. Fourth, by the sympathetic canals of the causal body. Advanced students must bring power creative to the Ein Sof heart. After some time of practice, the student must learn to drive the creative energy from the brain to the heart. 14 Arcanym is the arcanym of temperance. Transformation, second aspect of the arcanym 14, a body in a state of jinn can assume any figure. Seers transformed men and pigs. The legend says that Apuleius became a donkey. Mantras for Latinos transformation are these: a state sit, this, fight at. Only jinn state can transform. Ki jinn is sit at a table devotee. Position arms folded on the table, go to sleep at will with his head resting on his arms. Student should relax the mind. This relaxes emptying of all thought to be blank. Then imagine the torpor preceding the dream, identify with it, and fall asleep. When the student sits dozing, rise from his seat and retain sleep and sleepwalking. The student will give a long jump with intent to dive with his physical body into hyperspace. He immediately marked with a pencil the exact spot where he finished the jump. The next day he repeated the experiment, marking a pencil the place where his foot landed. As you practice, the student will notice that the jump is getting longer and longer. Reach the day will leap that is beyond normal. This greatly rejoices student because it indicates that your body is already penetrating hyperspace. Constancy, patience, will, tenacity will finally triumph student. One day the student and you will definitely be held within the space. It has penetrated his body within the inner worlds. It is in a state of jinn. You can then be transported to any place on earth in a few moments. It will be an investigator of the superior worlds. 39 page 40. Genie jinn is when you start practice. Jinn must invoke the jinn. The devotee will invoke many Ogura times, as follows. I believe in God, I believe in Ogura and all the jinn science geniuses. Take me to all jinn science temples with my body. Ogura. 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 Take me. This invocation is repeated thousands of times before dozing. Transubstantiation, part of the arcanym 14, the Last Supper, the adorable savior of the world dating from archaic times. The great master of the Atlantis also practiced as Christ Jesus. This is a ceremony of blood, a blood pact. The apostles brought each blood between a glass and then mixed with the royal blood adorable between the chalice of the last dinner, the Holy Grail. Thus the astral bodies of the apostles are attached to the astral Christ through the blood pact. The apostles drank the blood contained in the chalice. Jesus also he drank. The Holy Union Gnostica is attached to the Last Supper by the blood pact. When atoms crystal down to the bread and wine, it becomes indeed in the flesh and blood of Christ. This is the transubstantiation. Chapter XV Arcanym XV. We will now study the Arcanym Tarot 15. We will study the votive Mendez, Tief and Baphomet, the devil. The alchemist to fire the devil steal. When we work with the Arcanym AZF, we steal the fire from the devil so we become gods. In the front of the goat, Esoteric shines the pentagramma. The codpiece of Mercury replaces the organ sex. In short, we can say that this codpiece of Mercury represents the organ sex. All alchemists need to work with the codpiece of Mercury. This work is done with transmutation. When he stole the fire, the devil shines the five-pointed star. We need to develop the Kundalini and dissolve the ego, just so we the liberation. Work with the devil initiates of the fourth way, the way of shrewd man, call working with the devil the process of dissolution of the self. The dark usually they attack violently. Anyone who works with the dissolution of the ego, not being demon, however often be surrounded demon. Clairvoyance not started when they see a man so they judge wrongly slandering as demon. The initiates the path of astute become enigmatic. The disciples of the path are confused when they contemplate black candles on the altars of these initiates, then, of course, they judge wrongly. 40 page 41. Technical dissolution of me. The ego has control over the 5 inferior centers of the human machine. These 5 centers they are thinking, feeling, MOV, instinct and sex. The top 2 centers of the human being that are the higher mind and emotion superior, they cannot be controlled by the ego. If we dissolve the ego, we must study in the 5 inferior centers. We need understanding. It is urgent to understand the actions and reactions of each of the 5 lower centers of the human machine. I work with these 5 lower centers and thoroughly understanding the activity of each of those 5 lower centers, we are on track to dissolve the self. 2 people react to a representation differently. What is pleasant for one person, it may be unpleasant for another. The difference is often a person can judge and see with the mind and another can be played on their feelings. We must learn to differentiate the mind, feeling. One thing is mind and another feeling. In the mind there is a whole set of actions and reactions that must be carefully understood. In the feeling there are feelings that must be crucified, emotions that should be studied, and in general all a mechanism of actions and reactions that are easily confused with the activities of the mind. Movement we need to auto-discover and fully understand our habits. We must not allow our life unfold mechanically follow. It seems incredible that we live in molds. Habits do not know these molds that condition our life. We need to study our habits. We need to understand our habits. We need self-observe the way of talking, dressing, walking, etc. etc. Habits belong to the center of the movement. The games, football, tennis, and all sports in general belong to this center. When the mind interferes with this center, obstructs and damages because it is very slow and the center of the movement is very fast. When a typist works with the center of the movement, you can err on the keyboard if the mind comes to intervene. A man driving a car could have an accident if the mind were to intervene. Instinct. There are several instincts: self-preservation, the sexual instinct, etc. There are also many perversions of instinct. In every human being there are subhuman instinctive forces that paralyze the true spirited love and charity. These demonic forces must first be understood, then subject and eliminated. They are bestial forces, criminal, instinctual, lust, cowardice, fear, etc. We need to understand and submit these bestial forces before dissolve power. Sex is the 4th power of the human being. Sex can free or enslave man. No one you can become full, no one can be done thoroughly without the sexual force. Sex is power of the soul. The full human being can only be achieved with the absolute fusion of male pulse and feminine soul. Sexual force develops, evolves and progresses on 7 levels, lost 7 stages of Alma. In this physical world, sex is a blind force of mutual attraction. In the astral, sexual attraction is based on the affinity of types according to their polarities and essences. In mental sexual attraction, it is done according to the laws of polarity in 41 page 42, mental affinity. In the causal, sexual attraction is based on the conscious will. In this world of natural causes, consciously realizes the full unification of the soul. No one can really reach the full glory of marital status without having reached the 4th degree of human integration. We need to fully understand all sexual problem. We need to transcend the sex mechanicals. We need to know procreate children of wisdom. In the supreme moment of conception, human essences are completely open to all kinds of influences. The state of purity of the father and the willpower to not spilling the glass of Hermes is all that can protect against the terrible danger that infiltrating the spermatozoa and in the ovule substance is subhuman of soul's bestial. They want to be reincarnated. Adultery, women being the passive element. It is clear they collect and store the results of the sexual act. All those men who committed adultery with her. Those results are atomic substances from the man with whom she has performed the sexual act. When a man has sex a woman who has been with another man or other men, then collected the essences atomic those other men, and with them self-poisoning. This is a very serious problem for the brothers who are dissolving the ego. It happens then these brothers not only have to fight their own shortcomings, but also against errors and effects of those other men with whom the woman has sexual contact. Death of Satan. We understanding the intimate activities of each of the lower 5 centers found the whole process of the self. The result of this self-discovery is the absolute death of Baphomet or Satan, lunar or rescue me Adamson. We need to be unabridged. The integration has 7 well-defined stages. First, mineral state, mastery of the physical body and its 5 lower centers. Second, vegetable state, absolute control over the astral body and your chakras, discs or magnetic wheels. This vehicle represents the vegetable. Third, humanization of the mental body. Ordinarily the ghostly mental body of every human being has at face an animal figure. It is animalistic. When mind matter is transformed into Christ, we mental humanization. The mind represents the human animal. Currently the man is human only in appearance, in the background is still animal. In mental everyone, he has the animal figure that corresponds to your character human. Fourth, the basic seat of the human soul is sexual function. Who transmit their energy, sex has the right to incarnate his soul. Fifth, the 5th degree of integration represents all that perfect human being. 6th, universal infinite compassion. 7th, the 7th final stage is only possible in the God's mem. Those are the super, -42 page 43, men's. The mystery of Baphomet. It is really true and of all truth. The mystery of Baphomet is the alchemy of sexual. Based on thorough understanding and transformed sexual transmutation of lead personality into the gold of the spirit. Then I annihilated. The rose elaborates its perfume with mud of the earth. The perfume of the rose is transmuted mud. Adim door sex is the door of the Adim. The guardian is at the door, is the Assyrian Sphinx, the Sphinx Egyptian, Moses bull with a sword in his hands. That is the psychological I, the Baphomet, with his sword away from the threshold to all those who are unprepared. Within we are the enemy. We need to work with the devil dissolve. We need to steal the fire of the devil. Chapter XVI Arcana. Now we study the Arcanum Tao 16. This is the Arcanum of the Tor fulminated. This is the Tower of Babel. 2 characters are precipitates at the bottom of the abyss. One of these characters to fall with the head down and legs in open arms to the right and left. It represents the inverted pentagram. Many are the initiates dropped. Many are the fulminated towers. All it started spilling the cup of Hermes, inevitably falls. The legend of the fallen angels has been repeated and will be repeated eternally. Currently living in the world many fallen gods. These now they are disguised in men's bodies. Human spectrum. The current man is a fiend. When death comes only continues human spectre. From this spectrum the soul embryo escapes. Post-mortem states mentioned by occultists correspond to all embryo soul. This returns to his true self that normally lives in the causal world. Analysis background leads us to the conclusion that the human spectrum is a den of demons unclean. Total human being becomes legion of demons continues. Actually the person human dies. Man is not yet immortal. The man is believed immortal and powerful, and is the height of arrogance, lightning death the thunders, and from the Tower of Babel will into the abyss. Such is the fatality. Christ and mental astral Christ man has 2 centers not yet used. The superior mind and the motion top. These are the 2 divine centers, the true eternal and instruments imperishable man with soul. With the top 2 centers we can study 43 page 44, deeply the great mysteries of life and death. It has been told that these 2 higher centers can penetrate into the great reality that is far beyond eternity and time. Who believes that already use these 2 centers without generated the vehicle mind Christ and Christ astral link is totally wrong. It is necessary begetting these 2 links to dress the superior mind and superior emotion. Only the Arcanum AZF is possible to generate these 2 higher vehicles. In the 3rd initiation major mysteries born astral Christ. In the 4th initiation of major mysteries born mental Christ. The astral and mental bodies studied by all occultists and theosophy which speaks both are just miserable specters of death that must be fulminated by the terrible ray of cosmic justice. That fall the Tower of Babel, and Satan it will roll into the abyss. Immortality. Anyone who possesses the body's mental and astral Christ is absolutely immortal. When we study these Christic vehicles and compared with astral mental using the deceased, we find the following differences. Astral Christ. This shines beautifully. Astral death. This does not shine, it's just a fatal shadow. Mental Christ. Shines gloriously. Mental death. This does not shine. Astral Christ. It is clean of passions. Astral death. That is the vehicle of animal passions. Mental Christ. He has divine angelic figure. Mental death. He has animal figure. Astral Christ. He has awakened the Kundalini and Kakras. Astral death. Kundalini has awakened, and whether the Kakras awakened by some kind of esoteric discipline, they shine like wisps in the darkness of abyss. Summary. The Christ man is immortal. The earthly man is not immortal. The man Christ is the sun shines. The earthly man is a shadow. The man Christ is be achieved. The basics. Those students of occultism that practice esoteric exercises without working with the Arcanum AZF are similar to the man who built his house upon the sand. Its construction will roll to abyss. We must build upon the living stone. That stone is sex. Who develops the Kakras, the specter of death, it will roll into the abyss. His temple will be Tor fulminated. Who begets its Christic bodies with the Arcanum AZF, and works in the development of their Kakras, becomes a living Christ. 44 page 45. The awakening of consciousness. It is necessary to awaken the consciousness to avoid falling into the abyss of perdition. Will currently exist many heads of esoteric groups with the consciousness asleep. Blind's blind will roll all the abyss. That is the law. Human beings live absolutely asleep. If, for example, a group of soccer players awakened the conscience during a game, you can be absolutely sure that this would end, because the ashamed players would flee the football field immediately. The fundamental cause of deep sleep in which humanity lives is what is called fascination. Players football are deeply fascinated by the game, and then dream about playing. Apparently they are playing as awake, but actually they are dreaming. Ordinary dream in the hours of rest. When the body sleeps in the bed, the ego travels outside the physical body, often very remote distances outside the physical body, the ego lives dreaming. Really, ego takes its dreams into the supersensible worlds. In the internal worlds, carpenters the carpentry are dreaming of everything they do in the physical world. The blacksmith in his blacksmithing, police guarding the streets, the tailor in his shop, the drunk in the canteen, etc. Everybody they dream. All her dreams to take the supersensible worlds. After death the same is repeated. The ego continues in his sleep. Ego actually takes their dreams during normal sleep and after death. Technical to raise awareness. Technique to raise awareness is based on self-remembering. All be human is fascinated by different things, as we said in the previous paragraph. When a particular representation fascinates us, we forget ourselves. Then we dream. It has been seen people during a public demonstration launch into violence. Knights in their sound judgment are not able to utter a bad word. In these cases have been insulted and stone confused with the crowds. Therein lies the power of fascination. One forgets himself, same dreams and dreaming, and then makes things often completely absurd. After passing dream come embarrassment and problems. It is necessary that the student is not Gnostic, let fascinated by anything. Representation before all interesting, it should remind himself and become the following questions. Where am I? What am I doing here? I will be out of my physical body. Then carefully observe everything that is surrounding. Look closely, scrutinizing the sky with eyes, any details of the internal worlds, already a set of strange colors, and some rare animal, the shadow of a deceased beloved being, etc. You will confirm that is outside the physical body, then awaken the consciousness. It also very useful in those moments of reflection and self-recall itself. Give small jump with the intention of floating in the surrounding environment. It is logical that if we float because we are outside the physical body, if fall asleep during sleep make such thoughtful questions, it is logical to awaken consciousness as the ego after death became such questions in the presence of any representation, wake instantly. Unfortunately the ego will not occur because such questions never in life has been in the habit of haste or salus. It is necessary to take this habit and live intensely. Only then can the idea occur to us similar questions during the sleep and after death. The result of this practice is the awakening of consciousness. Anyone who awakens consciousness becomes clairvoyant. Anyone who awakens consciousness likes 5. Page 46. During sleep the body fully awake in the superior worlds. The big ones teachers not dream. Great teachers are aware citizens of the supersensible worlds. Great masters work during sleep the body, consciously and positively in the higher worlds. It is necessary to raise awareness to not go blind. The blind can fall into the abyss. Arcanum XVI is very dangerous. Memory, all memory is deposited in the subconscious. Many started working on the worlds higher during normal sleep, consciously. Unfortunately in the physical world they ignore this because they have a good memory. We must learn to handle the subconscious. In those instances of awakening from sleep at subconscious we ordain as follows. Subconscious, inform me of everything I saw and heard outside the physical body. After an exercise practice retrospective to remember everything you did outside the physical body. Compel the subconscious to work. Give him peremptory orders to force him to inform. Practice it exercise during the torpor sleep during those instants of awakening. Chapter XVI Arcano. This is the Arcane 17 of the Tarot. The hieroglyph of this arcanym is the radiant star and eternal youth. In this arcane featured a naked woman, which spreads over the earth the sap of the universal life, leaving 2 glasses, 1 gold and 1 silver. If we study carefully esoteric content of this arcanym, we discover perfect alchemia. We need to work with gold and with silver, with the sun and the moon, to embody the star. This star has 8 ends. Actually the 8-pointed star is Venus. Whoever reaches the Venus in initiation has the joy of incarnating the dragon wisdom, the inner Christ. The Arcanon 17 is hope. He Gnostic student must be very careful with the work of Rotorium Laboratorium. Since the betrayal of the sanctuary of Vulcan, spread by everywhere the doctrine of Ahriman, this is the doctrine of the Nicolaitans that transformed humans and sickening demons sub-moles. Adepts of the left hand give his doctrine a place full of very beautiful tint, sublime ineffable mysticism. Many are the brothers of the pack who have gotten down this path dark. The basic foundation of the doctrine of the Nicolaitans is spilling Hermes' vessel. These sons of darkness ejaculate the Ensminis during their practices sexual magic. With ejaculation of the Ensminis, lost billions of solar atoms that are replaced by billions of atoms of the secret enemy. These atoms are collected Satanists the atomic inference of man by the creative organs after ejaculation. When such satanic atoms try to climb between the sympathetic canals to the brain, they are precipitated down by the three rays of the Father, the Son and the Spirit Holy. When descending, this kind of dark atoms collide violently with an atom master of the Black Lodge who resides in the fundamental Kekrekekeks. This god Black Atomico then receives a formidable impulse which gives power to awaken the Kundalini 46 page 47, or Igneous Serpent of our magical powers. In this case, the Kundalini descends to the unatomic infernus of man, becoming the tail of Satan. That is how man definitely born in the abyss is demon subtype lunar submerged. There are many students of the luminous path that have gone down this path black. It's good to remember that the great masters of sanctuary fell into this volcano subtle temptation and became terribly perverse demons. Narrow door. There are many students of occultism convinced that there are many paths to God. Some say that there are 3 paths, some people say that there are 7 ways, some believe that there are 12 ways. We say that the 3, 7 and 12 reduced to 1. This is sex. We have carefully researched the 4 Gospels, and none of the 4 Gospels we find that the claim that many roads are he reaches God. This statement is absolutely false. Actually, that statement is sophistry to fool unwary. Jesus, the head of souls, spoke only one door and one narrow path and difficult. He did not say there were many paths to God. Anyone who says it is a liar solemn. The great master Jesus textually said the following: strive to enter through the narrow gate, for I tell you that many will seek to enter, and cannot. After the parent is risen up and shut the door and begin to stand outside and knock on the door, saying, Lord, Lord, open to us, and shall answer and say, I know you not whence ye. So you will say, before you have eaten and drunk, and you taught in our squares. And I say, I tell you this, that I know you not whence ye. Depart from me, all workers of iniquity. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth, when you see Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and all the prophets in the kingdom of God, and you yourselves thrust out. They really are very few who are saved, because there are very few who get through the narrow and difficult door of sex. Does not exist another door. There has never been, will never exist. The mechanical evolution of nature saves no time, does not save anyone. It must be born, and this birth has been, it is and will always be an absolutely sexual problem. All who wants to be born, he has to work with the sap of life contained in the 2 vessels sacred than the nude woman of Arcanum XVI has in his hands. 3 rays. It has been told that there are 3 rays: intimate self-realization. Those 3 rays illuminate one single door, and one way, sex. The 3 rays are mystic, yoga, matrimonial, perfect. Without the Arcanum AZF is not a single step is really progressing on the path of feel of the knife, spinal cord. Yoga in the Western world is being taught very badly. Yoga. Many pseudo-sepingiages have spread the false belief that the true yogi must be in phrasexual, enemy sex. These false yajas have never visited India. They are pseudo-yajas and phrasexuals. They believe that with these Whissakers yoga exercises such as asanas, pranayama, etc., they will be performed thoroughly. 47 page 48. The worst of it is that it not only have false belief but also propagate away so many people from the narrow and difficult door that leads to the light. To originally know authentic yogi will never happen in India. Think that with pranayama, asanas, etc., achieve the realization intima. Every legitimate yogi Hindustan know very well that these advance-only exercises are very useful for health, for the development of powers, etc. Only Western pseudo-yajas has got it into their head that with these exercises mentioned, they can fulfill themselves. In the ashrams of the Hindustan very secretly practice sexual magic. Every true yogi in India started working with the Arcanum AZF, taught by the great Hindustani yajas that they visited the Western world, and if this has not been taught by these great yajas initiated Hindustani, if this has not been published in the books of yoga, was precisely to avoid scandals. Sex is stumbling block and rock of offense. You can be absolutely sure yajas that those who do not practice sexual magic never achieve birth in the world's higher. Anyone who claims otherwise is a liar, a forger. Astrology. In each incarnation the human being is born under a different star. A wise man said, I lift my eyes to the stars of which must come help me, but I still always guiding star inside. Really this star is always the same, no change in any reincarnation. Is the star father? The important thing for us is to embody that star father. Therein lies the mystery of Arcanum XVI. The Seviat contained in the vessels of gold and silver, when wisely combined and transmuted, it allows us to reach the incarnation of the star. Star crucified on the cross is the Christ. Chapter XVI Arcana. Let us study now the 18 Arcanum of Kabbalah. This is the Arcana Twilight. It is necessary that our disciples Gnostics reflect deeply on the esoteric content of this arcane. We have been harshly criticized for not we continue with the familiar Hebrew sing-sing. Certainly not we want to continue with the same sing-sing. We are interested in what it called understanding. We want our students to understand each arcanon and that develop in themselves. We want our followers to discover each arcanon first within themselves, then all of nature. Arcanon XVI is light and shadow, white magic and black magic. In the letter XVI, dog and a wolf barking at the moon appears. We also see that sheep two pyramids, one is white and one is black. Not lacking in the crab arcane symbol. In Arcanon XVI is contained twice the number 9 plus 9 equals 18. In this arcano the ninth sphere is repeated twice. We know that the number 1 is positive, and that the number 2 negative. So if we repeat the ninth sphere, first and second, we will have to sex in two aspects, positive and negative. Now our disciples will understand why the Arcanon XVI is light and darkness, magic white and black magic. In Arcanon XVI we find the secret enemies of the 48 page 49, initiation. Beloved disciples know that the Kundalini rises very slowly through the spinal canal. The rise of Kundalini from vertebra to vertebra is performed very slowly according to the merits of the heart. Each vertebra represents certain virtues. Never climb is achieved vertebra determined without filling holiness conditions required by the vertebra to which is aspirated. Those who believe that once awakened Kundalini rises instantly head to let us fully enlightened are really ignorant people. In Arcanon XVI we have to fight bloody battles against the dark. The sky tipped for assault. The brave have taken it. In the internal world's tenbris of Arcanon XVI assault the student violently. Devotee must fight terrible tenbris battles against them. The conquest of each vertebra in the spine means fighting to the death against the death's shadow. Fortunately who works with the Kundalini receives sword flamboyant with which it defends. Sometimes the almost lifeless student achieves the battle entry into the temple taking the sword in his hands. Terrible are the efforts of the dark to remove the student from the path of the razor's edge. This path is full of dangers inside and out. Many of those who begin, few are coming. Most deviates by the black road. In Arcanon XVI there are dangers too students subtle ignored. The tenbris gather in their temples to count the number of vertebrae conquered by the student. Each vertebra is symbolized by them with a drink. They put on the altar so many cups few vertebrae has conquered the student. They judge on this basis, the neophyte, considering thief. The thought of the tenbris could formulate it as follows: you're so many drinks we have stolen. To you we are stealing powers. You are a thief. The dark never believe bad guys themselves. They feel holiness wells. When student attack doing good faith, they believe that the student is a thief powers. That's all. Actually the abyss is full of sincerely mistaken, and of people with very good intentions. Key number 9 is positive and negative at the same time. Now we explain the mystery of the Arcanon XVI. In this terrible Arcanon we find all filters and all the witchcraft of Teshsoli. Here is the kitchen conivia. It can be read in times of Horus, like that horrible witch Rome, composed all poisons. The books are full of Grimer's very own tenbris recipes Arcano XVI. Erotic magic ceremonies, rites to be loving, dangerous filters, etc. etc. All that is the Arcanon XVI. We must warn Gnostic students that the most dangerous filter the tenbris use to take the student from the path of the razor's edge is the intellect. With all frankness, we warn our disciples of the 2 billion people they live in the world, only a small handful of souls who can be counted on a finger's hand serve to angelico state. The rest, the vast majority, is lost harvestful plunging to the abyss forever. Be angel is very difficult. Neither time nor evolution mechanics of nature, they can ever convert human beings into angel. This is a sexual problem. Adam Christ, you need to be born in as Buddha first, before incarnating the Christ. When the man has spawned all his internal vehicles, embodies his Buddha and becomes a Buddha. 49 page 50, we warn our students that the soul is Christ. In Asia there are many Buddhists who have not incarnated the Christ. Remember, dear to beyond all, Buddha is the resplendent dragon of wisdom, the Christ of every man who comes into the world. When the resplendent dragon of wisdom comes into the Alma, then he is transformed into she and she into him. In this divine and human mixture is that we call the Adam Christ, the Son of Man. Christ, it is necessary that our Gnostic disciples understand that shining dragon of wisdom, the inner Christ, of every man who comes into the world, not has individuality, the latter is a product of I and Christ has no ego. It is absurd I speak of Christ, when the Christ has no ego. The dragon of wisdom transcends all I, and all individuality. The adorable is infinite, absolutely impersonal. Internal bodies. Man really does not already own internal bodies. Current vehicles, astral, mental and causal, using human beings, are nothing but mental forms that need disintegrate. These thought forms are the human spectrum within which the self lives. We need to engender the internal vehicles to incarnate the Buddha and Antichrist. This is one absolutely sexual problem. Recognized incarnations. Vivian's Buddhists are recognized incarnations. Those are the only cases where the universal spirit of life incarnates and reincarnates. In other cases only reincarnate the values, the I, the ego, Satan. Really Satan, the ego, only reincarnates to satisfy desires, that's all. The only worthy of admiration are reincarnations. Vivians. The ninth sphere on the positive side brings to the world Vivian's Buddhists, and in its negative aspect brings to the world the memories, egos, spectral personalities that existed and died. That is the fatal wheel. Now you will understand all the drama of the arcanum XVII. Negative positive more 99 is equal to XVII. The embryo of the soul. This lives within the spectrum and is reincarnated with spectrum and self. You need to understand that within the whole spectrum there an I embryo Alma. We have already talked about this in previous lessons, but it seems that many students do not have it as understood. We clarify that the embryo soul that every human being has inside is not the Christ, because Christ has not embodied in humans. Only those who reached initiation Venus embodies the Christ. No one could reach such initiation without incarnate before his Buddha of perfection. 50 page 51, Arcanum XIX chapter XIX. We will now study the Arcanum XIX, the tarot. Hieroglyph. A bright sunshine and two beautiful children shake hands. Egyptian tarot. In the hieroglyph is a man and a woman. They have in their hands the symbolic figure of Tau Egyptian cross. East Cruz is phallic type. Arcanum XIX is the arcanum of the alliance. In our lesson 3 of this course we talked extensively about La Sal, sulfur and mercury. Actually these are the passive instruments of the great work. The positive principle is the metans interior paracelsus. We need to transmit and then sublimate sexual energy to the heart. It is impossible to make progress in the great work without the power of love. I psychological, not love. The yo is wish. It is easy to confuse the desired thing with that which is called love. Desire is a substance that breaks down into thoughts, volitions, feelings, romances, poetry, tenderness, sweetness, anger, hatred, violence, etc. People are always deceived by the poison of desire. Lovers always swear they are loving when actually they are only looking forward. The human being does not know why it is called love. However, we have in the depths of our being a principle he loves. Unfortunately, we have no incarnate. This principle is the soul, metans the interior paracelsus. If people had embodied that principle Alma, I know love, only from heart to heart, Alma is possible Amar. Unfortunately people have only Satan incarnate. This not love knows it. This only knows desired. That is all. Every day we see a multitude of lovers, they swear eternal love. After satisfied desire, wish the thought they love, comes disillusionment, disenchantment and total failure. Desire is the great deceiver. Who wants to work in the great work you have to annihilate desire? You need to know Amar. He love has its peculiar beauty and infinite happiness. People do not know what is called love. Love is like the feelings of a newborn child. Love forgives everything, demands nothing, asks nothing, only wants the good of those who love. That is all. The feeling true love is perfect. Satan does not know perfections. Satan is desire. If you want to love, be prudent. Do not confuse love with desire. Do not be fooled by the great deceiver. Inside you have an embryo of soul, it can love. Embryonic is love really is that he is an embryo, but you annihilate desire, you feel that spark of love. When you learn to feel that spark will become Lama, then you advance what is called love. Robust your Alma embryo with flame love blessed, and finally succeed in the miracle of your incarnation. It is necessary that you be full, and this is possible only Amando. In Arcanum XIX establishes a great alliance between two souls. Man and woman must kill I desire to achieve the grand alliance. If you want to embody your soul, you must celebrate the great alliance Arcanum XIX. Reflect a little, so far just a living spectre, a sleeping spectrum. Do you sleep, poor spectrum? During sleep your body after death. You escape the pantheon or cemetery dreaming, miser spectrum. Poor fiend. Reflect and meditate. Celebrate the grand alliance Arcanum XIX so you can incarnate your soul and become truly. You poor thing. You're not yet. You are in dreams, you die without knowing how, 51 page 50, and you're born without knowing how. Only the blessed flame of love you can really make you exist because you do not have real existence. Only the Arcanum AZF you can generate your Christic vehicles. The vehicles will be donning your Buddha first and then your internal Christ. So you will grow. You needn't grow B. Remember, good disciple, you are not now asleep in spectrum. Your current internal vehicles are only mental forms that must disintegrate, reduce to dust cosmic. Be patient in the great work. It's you want to portray your inner Christ, you must be as the lemon. Kill not only desire, but the very shadow of desire. Be perfect in thought, word and deed. Thirst pure, pure, pure. The Philosopher's Stone sex is represented by Philosopher's Stone. This is the Hliagabalu stone. Without this stone you cannot get the elixir of long life. The two columns Jakin and Boaz Temple are the men and women allies to work with the Philosopher's Stone. Whoever finds the stone philosopher becomes a god. The great tempter psychological self is the great tempter. He hates sexual magic. The I want full satisfaction of desire. The self is who thinks and looks. You are not need to think. Being no search. When we are working in the great work, I'm not feeling safe, that they are looking for security called. Students of the light path always fall into the abyss of perdition looking security. Do not be seduced by the great tempter. While the mind go looking something, while the mind is seeking security, while the mind is because search results, we are ready for the great work. Satan seeks security, Satan wants results. Satan walks always looking. Do not let poison the mind by Satan. Do not waste awkwardly mental energy. With the battle of reasoning you spent your mental energy. I remember that it is the reasoner. Your soul does not need reason. It is painful to contemplate death spectra reasoning about problems that no longer exist. Those asleep are worthy of pity. I really great is the reasoner. Love when in mind not looking, when you no longer want shelter, when no is looking for security, when no more books or knowledge greed, when it ignores even the memory the desire, then there is only is what is called love. How great is love? Alone great souls can and know love. Chapter XXXX Arcana. Let's focus now deeply in the study of Arcanum XX of the Tarot. The hieroglyph of this Arcana is the Judgment. A genius plays the trumpet and a dead escape from his grave. We must know that this Arcanum revive a man, a woman and a child. This is the wonderful ternary. In the study of this Arcanum we will not continue with the same Hebrew sing-song. It is necessary judiciously as to focus on the problem of the resurrection if they truly 52 page 53. We want to become resurrected masters. Questions. How do you get to the resurrection? How not reach the resurrection? How it triumphs? How fails? Answer. You reach the resurrection working with the Arcanum AZF, without ever spilling the cup of Hermes. You do not get to the resurrection spilling the glass of Hermes. It succeeds when there is greed. It fails when if there is greed. Canker to explanation. There are two kinds of greed. First, greed for money. Second, greed at cult powers. They're greed for the money when you earn for psychological purposes, and not for properly meet our physical needs. Many want money to gain social prestige, fame, high positions, etc. There is no greed when we get money for the sole purpose of meeting our physical needs. You need to discover where the need ends and where greed begins. They're greed of occult powers when we want results. Those who just want results are greedy. Those who walk here and there accumulating theories, seeking powers today, morning in a school in another, are of bottlings made between the bottle of greed. The bottled mind of greed is unstable. Emigrates from lodge to lodge, school in school, from sect to sect, always suffering, always longing powers, light, wisdom, lighting, etc. Never get anything, so it cannot ever unstable understand what's stable, permanent and divine. Only God likewise understood. The mind bottled between greed is unable to understand the things that are outside the bottle. Greedy want bottling God and so walk from school to school, always looking, always longing God needlessly because nobody can be bottled. Who wants to work in the great work must first abandon greed. The bricklayer's greedy leaves the building when it finds in its way another work, even when the latter is of darkness really. Great work greedy retire. Many are those who begin work, few who end up. Resurrected masters can have the fingers. Fate. We met a disciple of Cagliostro, a man named Jerome, who worked in the great work. The man with the Arcanum AZF was gaining degrees, powers, initiations, tunics, capes, mantles of distinction, sword, etc. There was admire and see the wonderful progress of Jerome. All going well until the day he was weak enough to tell his secret to an occultist friend. It, horrified by the no ejaculation and sminnies, rebuked Jerome, calling it barbaric. He advised spilling the glass of Hermes, instructed him saying that in the supreme moment of spasm had to mentally assume an edifying attitude and essentially then pouring dignifying very holy supposedly the glass of Hermes, and so was as working on the great work. This is the logic of the absurd. Jerome, disciple of Count Cagliostro, who really was not such a strong man as was the great Copt, he was persuaded by reason of no reason, and poured the cup sacred. That was lost on mantles and sword, scepter and crown, tunics and degrees. That 53, page 54, doom was. Arcanum ex vi Geronimo, fulminated with the terrible ray of justice cosmic. 3 types of resurrection. Just as there are 3 basic types of energy, masculine, feminine, neuter, well, there are 3 types of resurrection. The first is spiritual resurrection initiative. The second is resurrection with the body of liberation. The third is resurrection with the physical body. No one can go through the second or the third type of resurrection without having first passed through the spiritual resurrection. Spiritual resurrection. Only spiritual resurrection is achieved with initiation. Spiritually we DNR fire first and then in the light. Resurrection with the body of liberation. Resurrection with the body of liberation is done in the higher worlds. Each body is organized with the best atoms of the physical body. It is a body of flesh that does not come atom, is a body full of indescribable beauty. With this body of paradise can the adept enter the physical world and work on it, becoming visible and tangible at will. Resurrection with the physical body. On the third day the adept comes before the sepulchre where his body rests. The teacher cries a body, invoked, and obeying it escapes from the tomb, taking advantage of the hyperspace as well. It is the empty tomb in the linen cloth slaying. Body revives in the higher worlds. The holy women treat the body of the adept with drugs and aromatic ointments, obeying supreme orders. The resurrected body penetrates into the Alma Master for head sidereal. This is how the Master receives his physical body again. It is necessary to note that Easter, in this case, the physical body is submerged within the supersensible worlds. When a resurrected master whose physical body was 3 days between the holy sepulchre once enter the physical world and uses the power of the will, can appear wherever and will disappear instantly. Jesus the Christ is a resurrected master who had his physical body 3 days in the holy sepulchre. After the resurrection, Jesus appeared to the disciples on the road to Emmaus and dined with them. Then he submitted to the 11 and then to doubting Thomas, who only believed when he stuck his finger in the womb's holy body. Grandmaster Hermes, Cagliostro, Quetzal Coatl and many other great masters retained their physical bodies for thousands or millions of years without death can against them. Those are teachers resurrected. Long life elixir. Only the Arcanum AZF can produce the elixir of long life. Resurrection is impossible without the elixir of long life. Chapter XXI Arcanum XXI. We will now study the Tarot Arcanum XXI. The hieroglyph of this Arcanum is El Loco. 54 page 55. By examining this Arcanum we see a poor fool who walks aimlessly or direction with a satchel to back between which carries all its absurdities and vices. Their clothes and disarray leave the creators discovered the bodies and follows a tiger bites him incessantly without question to defend himself. In this Arcanum it is represented the sensitive, meat, life material. We could represent this Arcanum with blazing star reversed. Every initiate that is dropped is really El Loco of the tarot. When the alchemist spills the cup of Hermes in fact becomes the fool of the tarot. It is necessary to annihilate desire if we are to avoid the danger of falling. Many masters who swallowed earth, many resurrected masters, is Loco fell becoming the XXI Arcana Tarot. Best knows remembers Zanoni during the French Revolution. This was a master he resurrected yet dropped when he fell in love with an artist Naples. Zanoni died on the guillotine after having lived with her physical body for thousands of years. Whoever wants to annihilate desire must discover the causes of this. The causes of desire are in the sensations. We live in a world of sensations and we need to understand there are 5 types of sensations. First, visual sensations. Second, hearing. Third, olfactory. Fourth, gustatory. Fifth, sensitive, related to the sense of touch. The 5 special types of sensation I want to become. So that, the causes of desire are in the sensations. We should not condemn the sensations, should not justify them. We need understand deeply. A pornographic image strikes the senses and the mind goes. The result of this perception is a sexual sensation which is then transformed into animal desire. A vulgar song tight morboso after passing through the sense of hearing in the central brain of the sensation sexual desire becomes. We see a luxury car, feel and then we wish. We try a delicious glass, perceive the smell, feel its delicious sensations, and then we want to drink a lot, to get drunk, the smell and taste and make us gluttons drunks. The sense of touch is at the service of all our desires and then I enjoy it between vice, walks like Loco Tarot life living with this backpack between which charges all its vices and absurdities. Whoever wants to annihilate desire needs first intellectually analyze the sensations and then understand deeply. It is impossible to deeply understand the intellect concept contained in a feeling. Intellect is only a fraction of the mind. Yes, deeply we understand the whole substance of feeling any particular need indispensably technique internal meditation. It is urgent to deeply understand at all levels of the mind. This has many backgrounds and levels, usually subconscious and unconscious, unknown in man. Many individuals who achieved absolute chastity here in the world physical, after being subjected to difficult tests in the internal worlds, they proved to be terrible fornicators in other levels and depths of the mind. Great hermits and Santos hermits discovered to their horror that the fool of the tarot still alive at other levels. 55 page 56. Deeper understanding. Really just understanding the feelings at all convolutions of the mind can annihilate desire and kill the fool of the tarot, which hidden among the folds of mind. Student need to learn to see and hear without translate. When a man perceives the beautiful figure of a woman and makes the mistake of translating that perception in the language of their sexual desires, result is sexual desire. That kind of desire but then forget, continues living internally in other unconscious levels mind. This is how the four naked eye incessantly in the inner worlds. It is urgent to learn to see untranslated see without judging. It is essential to see and hear, feel, taste, smell and touch with understanding Creator, just so we can annihilate the causes of desire. Really wish tree has roots that we must study and deeply understand. The right perception and creative comprehension annihilate the causes of desire. When the mind escapes from the bottle of desire rises to higher worlds, then comes the awakening of awareness. Mind normally found between the bottle desire is essential clear mind. If we really want the awakening of consciousness, it is impossible raise awareness but hypothalamus mind. We constantly hear complaints many students who suffer because during sleep of his physical body live unconscious in the higher worlds. Some of them have made many esoteric practices to achieve cleavage astral and have not succeeded. When we study the lives of these complainers, we discovered within them the fool of the tarot. Those people are full of desires, comprising only the feelings, kill desire. Only the desire annihilating the mind that is normally bottled up within the bottle is released desire. Freeing the mind, awakening of consciousness occurs. The fool of the tarot is the psychological I, the myself, the reincarnating ego. If we eliminate the causes of desire, we need to live in a state of constant vigilance. It is urgent to live in a state of awareness, alert novelty. The ego is a great book, a book of many volumes. Only through technique internal meditation can study this book. When we discover a defect and we understand deeply at all levels of the mind, then this disintegrates. Every time there comes a defect, disintegrates and place something again as a word, pass a mantra. Some cosmic initiation, an esoteric degree, a secret power, etc. This is how we feel gradually true wisdom. Arcanym XXI. The Kabbalistic edition of this arcanym gives us the following result. 2 + 1, the same. 3. 1 is the Father, Keter, 2 is the Son, Chekma, 3 is the Holy Spirit, Binah. This it is the resplendent dragon of wisdom in every man that cometh into the world. Anyone who achieved dissolve the psychological I, the madman of the tarot, incarnates the resplendent dragon wisdom. Who incarnates, is indeed a spirit of wisdom. Coexistence, it is not in isolation from our neighbors as we can discover our defects. Only in the order we discovered living in coexistence can surprise our shortcomings. 56 page 57. Because they arise in our human personality, and jump out. In social life there's self-discovery and self-revelation. When we discover a defect, must first and then analyze it intellectually, understand in the various backgrounds of mind with the technique of meditation. You need to focus on the discovered defect and meditate on it in the spirit of understanding deeply. Must be combined with sleep meditation and deep vision. We become aware of defect that we are trying to understand. Once dissolved the defect, he comes to us something new. You need to be on alert perception, alert novelty during internal meditation. To receive that something new, every defect should be changed to something new. So as the man is wise indeed. This is the path of wisdom. Intuition. As we dissolve the Arcano Crazy 21, the tarot intuition develops. This is the flower of intelligence. Intuition and understanding replace reason and desire. The latter two are attributes of the self. Intuition allows us to penetrate into the past, as present in the future. Intuition allows us to penetrate the deeper meaning of all things. Intuition gives us into the world of the ineffable gods. Everything becomes intuitively true. Prophet. Practice to develop intuition. It is urgent that the devotee of the path of the razor's edge intensify development intuition. This faculty resides in the coronary chakra. Said chakra shines in gland pineal gland, is the seat of the soul, the third eye. Scientists today think they know more than the old sages of ancient mystery schools and deny all these things, taking the issue pineal gland to purely physiological ground as if hit with this glove the venerable white faces of the great hierophants. The old sages of ancient times never ignored that the pineal gland is a small tissue, red-gray, located in the part posterior brain. They knew very well the hormone secreted by this gland is closely related to the development of sexual organs. After maturity, this gland degenerates into fibrous tissues that do not secrete, then comes impotence. Only it exists in this one exception, that of the Gnostics. They with sexual magic preserved in it the activity pineal and sexual function throughout life. The pineal gland is the intuitive center polyvision. In the heart, intuition manifests as hunches, but in the pineal gland, this feeling becomes images intuitive. It is urgent that the devotees practice the powerful mantra of intuition. This mantra is the following: Triyan, carry it through the sound of the vowel I and the consonant N, give him a tone similar to the bell. Student deep in meditation in perfect blank mind should be flooded with a large silence, then mentally vocalize the sacred mantra. You can sing this mantra many times as you want. After about 10 minutes of vocalization, suspend of this mantra, and will continue indefinitely with a blank mind. When the great silence overwhelms us, comes to us experience of that great reality. 57 page 58. Chapter XXII Arcanim XXII. We will now study the Arcanim XXII of Kabbalah. This card is the crown of life. Revelation says, be thou faithful unto death, and I will give you the crown of life. That's what difficult to find faithful people to these studies. Anyone who gets into the gnosis immediately wants occult powers. That is serious. People believe that the path of realization is like playing football or how to have fun with tennis. People have not yet learned to be serious. Usually people he gets in these studies with the aim of getting powers in a few months, and when they see that patience and effort is needed, then desperate move away in search of another school and pass this life flitting from school to school, from lodge to lodge, in center to grow old and die without having accomplished anything. That's humanity. You can count on the fingers those who are truly serious and they are really prepared for practical adeptship. Beloved disciples, need to develop each of the 22 tarot major arcana within you, same, you imitatus, or whatever that others have placed in the path of Philadelphia. Strive to reach adeptus. This is it, the product of his own works, which conquers science itself, the son of the same job. The early gnosis teaches 3 stages through which must pass everyone who works in the fiery forge of Vulcan. These are purification, light, and perfection. It turns out that the curious who enter our Gnostic studies want lighting immediately, splits, powers of clairvoyance, practical magician, etc. And if not, then immediately get this removed. No one can reach enlightenment without being purified first. Only those who have achieved the purification, sanctity, may enter the room enlightenment. There are also many curious students, those who get in our studies of pure curiosity, who want to be wise immediately. Paul of Tarsus says, we speak wisdom among the perfect. Only those who reach the 3rd stage, they are perfect, just between them can speak divine wisdom. In the ancient Egypt of the pharaohs, these stages of the path met, hidden within Freemasonry. These are learners, peers, and teachers. Candidates remained in the degree of apprentices, 7 years and even more. Only when hierophants were completely sure of the purification and sanctity of the candidate, he could then move to the 2nd stage. The first faculty that develops the candidate is the degree of listeners, clairvoyance, and hidden ear. Really only after 7 years apprentice begins enlightenment. However, students believe that the powers are to develop immediately, and when they see the thing is serious, then flee. That is the reality. Is very rare to find in life someone ready to adeptship. Crown of life. The intimo is not the crown of life. This has depths and are far beyond the intimate. The crown of life is our resplendent dragon of wisdom, the eternal Christ. 58 page 59. The 3 depths. The first depth is the origin of life, the second, the origin of the word, the third, the origin of sexual force. These 3 depths of the resplendent dragon of wisdom, are intimo beyond. The latter must be sought within the unknown depths of himself. Number 22. The 3 deep resplendent dragon of wisdom, emanated point mathematician. This is the Ein Sof atomic interior star that has always smiled upon us. The Holy Trinidad emanated from the singer star. The 3 depths return and merge with the interior star. The number 20 Kabbalistically is added as follows: 2 + 2 = 4. The Holy 3 emanates from the inner star. 3 inside the star is the Holy 4, the mystery tetragrammaton, the Iodhvaut. Now we understand that the 20 Arcano, it is the crown of life. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give you the crown of lifetime. Blessed is he who embodies the spirit of wisdom. The Buddhists who do not renounce the nirvana can never incarnate the cosmic Christ. This is far beyond the Buddha interior. This has to look within their ignious depths. He is the Glorian, the incessant, profoundly unknown to himself eternal breath, the ray which unites us with the absolute abstract space. Hieroglyph. The hieroglyph 20 arcanim is the crown of life among the four mysterious animals. Sexual alchemy. In the midst of the crown truth, he is represented by a naked woman, has in each hand a wand, the priest and priestess. Sexual alchemy. Only working in the fiery forge of Vulcan, we can incarnate the truth. The Ark of the Covenant. The Arca had 4 cherubs with their wings touched, and they were in the attitude of man and a woman during sex. Inside the ark, flowery staff for Aaron, the drink or gammer containing the manna, the 2 tablets of the law, and the manna gammer contained in the number 4, a result of the addition of 22 to each other. The interior lodge. The first duty of every Gnostic is to ensure that the lodge is undercover. The degree of apprentice. Particular attention especially in the astral plane. Internal loggia should to be covered. The astral body should be cleaned of animal passions and all kinds of desires. In the second grade, mental lodge should be undercover. Earthly thoughts must be thrown out of the temple. While it is necessary to cover interior loggia to prevent doctrines, people, demons and things penetrate into the inner sanctum to sabotage great work. In practice, we could see that students apparently very serious when they failed to cover its internal lodge, were invaded by people and doctrines strange. Often they continue to work in the flaming forge of Vulcan, but mixed methods and systems so different, that the result of all this, was then in true battle, a barbarous confusion only served to bring disorder to the lodge interior awareness. 59 page 60. You need to have the inner lodge in perfect order, genuine auto-school education intima. We are absolutely sure that there is only one door and one way. The sex is not everything. There is to lose time miserably. We are not against any religion, school, sect, order, etc. However, we firmly believe that within the internal lodge individual must take in order to spare us the confusion and error. We have fulfilled this task and feel satisfaction, because we have served humanity and ourselves. Present a play of the importance of this, we are encouraged and prepares for new services. The doctrine of the Gnostics nobody has ever liked. The substance of this work is for more advanced humanity, because the people of this barbarous age is not able to understand these things. We hope that you, my friend, as good a reader, find in this treasure that is now in your hands, happiness, joy and peace we want for all beings. If you discard not find in it something that disturbs you, do not be selfish. He thinks that next to you need. That is in your Father and your secret Divine Mother Kundalini Os bless. Samael Aun Weor Press Review. From Cisco Copperos Piled certifies that the above text is a full copy of the Book of Master Samael Aun Weor. They refer to the following information, which only differs from the original in accordance with the review criteria published on the website for downloading. Now www.gnosis2002.890m.com and www.gnosis2002.com. Title of the book: Esoteric Kabbalah Course Issue on which we review. 2nd edition 1977 Columbian place in the regular list. Book 41, 70 current revision status. Final without original to view from the March 13, 2004 at 14:35 p.m. Publication date: Tuesday, February 23, 2016 at 20:38 hours. An error is detected in the illustrations. The Blade 4th Arcanim contained twice in black. The Arcane 3 is a mistake. To change our format has been corrected, recovering illustration Arcano 3 of the previous version. Index Esoteric Course Kabbalah. 1 Prologue. 1 Editor. 2 Preface. 3 Introduction. 3 Chapter Arcano I. 5 Practice. 5 Chapter I Arcano I. 7 Invocation. 9 Chapter I Arcano. 10 Invocation. 11 Chapter IV Arcano. 12 Practice. 13 Practice with Seals. 14 Prayer. 14 Practice with Endinas. 14 Exorcism. 14 60 page 61 Practice with the Gnomes. 14 Chapter VV Arcano. 15 Chapter VIV Arcano. 16 Chapter VIV Arcano. 19 Practice. 21 Chapter VIV Arcano. 22 Provision of Witnesses. 2. 3 Esoteric Evidence. 2. 3 Tarot Card Date. 2. 3 Flamboyant Fire. 24 Balancing the Balance. 24 Chapter XIX Arcanum. 24 The Ninth Sphere. 25 Traditions Kabbalistic. 26 Fear of Lilith. 26 Fear Nahima. 26. Volcano. 27 cosmic rhythms. 27 sexual magic mantra. 28 chapter XX. Arcano. 28 lunar consciousness. 28 solar awareness. 29 sexual cycles. 29 light and awareness. 29 the 10th spirit. 30 direct key for direct knowledge. 30 initiation. 31 chapter XIXI Arcano. 31 number 11. 31 pair of opposite of Santa Alchemia. 31 China Alchemia. 32 schools of regeneration. 32 projection of fire. 33 practice. 33 chapter XIXI Arcanum. 33 the great work. 3. 4 Tantrasmo black and white. 3. 4 the 12th key. 34 Valentine Basilio no ID. 35 chapter Kissian Arcanum. 35 Alma embryo. 35 immortality. 35 mind. 36 astral Christ. 36 true identity. 36 the soul. 36 will. 36 the laboratory moratorium. 36 the retort of alchemy. 36 scales of snakes, pupa butterflies. 37, 61 page 62, long life elixir. 37 resurrection. 37 great service. 37 Superman. 38 chapter XIV Arcano. 38 transmutation. 38 working with prostate Kekra. 38 imagination and will. 39 heart. 39 transformation, second aspect of the Arcanum 14. 39 key genus. 39 genie genus. 40 transubstantiation, part of the Arcanum 14. 40 chapter XV Arcanum. 40 work with the demon. 40 technical dissolution of the 41 movement. 41 instinct. 41 sex. 41 adultery. 42 death of Satan. 42 we need to be unabridged. 42 the mystery of Baphomet. 43 a deemed door. 43 chapter XVI Arcano. 43 human spectrum. 43 astral Christ and mental. 43 immortality. 44 the basics. 44 the awakening of consciousness. 4. 5 ordinary dream. 4. 5 technical to raise awareness. 4. 5 memory. 46 chapter XVI Arcano. 46 narrow door. 47 the 3 rays. 47 yoga. 47 astrology. 48 Arcanum XVI chapter XVI. 48 Adam Christ. 49 Christ. 50 internal bodies. 50 recognized incarnations. 50 the soul embryo. 50 Arcanum XIX chapter XIX. 51 the philosopher's stone. 52 the great tempter. 52 love. 52 chapter XXXX Arcano. 52 fate. 53 62 page 63 3 types of resurrection. 54 resurrection with the body of liberation. 54 resurrection with the physical body. 54 long life elixir. 54 chapter XXI Arcanum XXI. 54 Arcanum XXI. 56 coexistence. 56 intuition. 57 practice to develop intuition. 57 chapter XXI Arcanum XXII. 58 crown of life. 58 the 3 depths. 59 number 20. 59 hieroglyph. 59 the Ark of the Covenant. 59 the interior loggia. 59 63.